Testing mic 6, testing mic 6.
6 is good.
Testing mic 7.
7 is good.
Testing mic 8. Ocho. Hello, hello.
Testing mic 9, microphone 9, testing.
Testing mic 10, testing mic 10.
10 is good.
Testing 11, testing 11.
Podium mic, testing podium mic. Wireless mic, test wireless. Okay, all yours.
Welcome, everybody. This is a meeting of the Nevada Unified School District Board of Education. It's June 6, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The board did meet in closed session this evening, and Trustee Jacobson will report out those items.
The board met this evening in closed session on 6 items. 1, with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, conference with legal counsel, litigation, 1 case was information only. 2, with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session, public employee discipline, dismiss, release, gave direction. With respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957 and 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator Francesca Whitcomb, Director of Human Resources, Employees Organization California State Employees Association, gave direction. With respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957 and 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator Francesca Whitcomb, Director of Human Resources, Employee Organization Novato Teachers Federation, gave direction. With respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session, public employee appointment, Government Code 54957B1, title Principal, Novato High School, information only. With respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session, public employee appointment, Government Code 54957B1, title Principal, San Jose Middle School, information only.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of our agenda this evening. Board members, it stands as is. There's no changes. You do have a couple documents at your table, but they should have the item number on them. You can find where they're placed.
So I'll move approval of the order of business for the evening.
Okay, first by Trustee Millerick. Second? Second by Trustee Mack. All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you. And then our consent agenda, there was no changes to that.
I need to pull
Oh,
H.
okay. Pull H. Staff is pulling H, item H. Anybody else need any item pulled? Okay. So this is approval of consent excluding item H. Anybody? First by Trustee Jacobson, second by Trustee Pickus. All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you. All right, and item H is just coming off completely. We're not going to, okay. Announcements from board members. Our student board members have finished up for the school year, so they're not here this evening. Trustee Miller, do you have any announcements?
I have, no announcements for this evening.
Okay.
Thanks.
Trustee Pickus.
First, I just wanted to wish everyone luck in their last week here. I know that teachers are working hard, students are working hard, staff is working hard, everyone's working hard. So just sending some love to everyone in this last week. We're almost there. I also had the honor of being present for a Nevada Rotary event earlier this week, where it's called Pianos on Grant, where they have had a piano placed on Grant Street and is available to anyone to come and play. It's right outside the Marin Music Center, and the beautiful artwork on the back of The piano is by Tiffany Loza. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. A San Marin art student. It is exquisite artwork. If you happen to drive by and see it, it's a beautiful pride display, and just it's really phenomenal. So shout out to Tiffany and to the great art program there.
Madam President, Friday, I would like to make a report, given the art issue. Friday, Dr. Derby and I went to Marin Oaks for Door Day. The students have decorated the doors, and it was an extraordinary afternoon. The students are so proud of the work they did, and it's such a individual expression. So I had forgotten that we'd done that, so thanks.
And I'll just add that I need to sneak out at 8 p.m. tonight, so my apologies.
Thank you. Yeah, well, maybe we'll be done. Trustee Lametta.
Good evening. June is Pride Month, and I'm so happy that last year this school board passed a resolution to raise the flag that makes sure that allows us to make sure that we are inclusive to our LGBTQ plus youth. So I'm really happy for that. I've taken a few courses through CSBA, school finance, and student outcomes. Or that's next week, and I'll be attending some graduations this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gasson.
So as Trustee Pick has said, I know we've got lots of stuff going on at our schools, and I'm so grateful for all the teachers and staff that are making all these things happen. It's just a crazy, crazy time, and I'd also like to include the volunteers that are out there helping with promotions and parties and all of that. It's just been really tremendous to see all the stuff going on for our kids. In particular, I wanted to mention a couple of staff members. Cody, our food services director, who was fabulous. He has got a lot on his plate, and even with all of that, he helped us for our Sinaloa pool party, have lunches brought to that, and they did an outstanding job and was greatly appreciated. And then today, I went to San Marin High School to see the presentations by 10th grade physics kids, and I just want to comment how impressive it is to have had the opportunity. My daughter is in the class, and the teacher actually invited us and admin as well. But it was amazing to see all the skills that the kids learn and all the things that they're doing, between the PowerPoint and all the technology and the knowledge. And then they do this Kahoot thing at the end. I think it's Kahoot, that I just loved and was just very impressed by. So I appreciated being there. I will say, as I was getting there, I checked into the office as I was supposed to and started walking on campus, and somebody stopped me right from the get-go. I believe is that you? Oh my gosh, Mo, correct? Mm-hmm. Was so proud of you. She stopped me and she's asked, can you help me? I'm like, I'm going to Mr. Black's. Well, is he expecting you? And I didn't want to say, oh, I'm a trustee, it's okay to be here, but I finally just did say, I'm like, I am going, he is expecting me. But I was so happy because she was doing what she should be doing. And I had a great time seeing the kids present today. So thank you for that, and wonderful that you're here.
Nothing to report other than looking forward to promotions and graduations tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. It's been a long year. We're there. Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, it's a crazy time of year. I joined Lou Sutton on their outdoor education as a chaperone, which was great, and participated in some end-of-year festivities, and really just want to say thank you to all of our teachers and staff for all the hard work they've done this year, and best of luck to all of our students and families.
Concur those comments. I won't repeat them. I will be attending some graduations at the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as well. I did get out to Lou Sutton open house for ribbon, and they also had a ribbon cutting with Leadership Novato, redid their multi-purpose room for them, and it was turned out really well. San Marin opened their wellness hub, and I was able to attend to see that at the ribbon cutting. And Golden Bell Awards, which is a county across the county, and awards given to teachers, our classified staff, and some other awards as well. Marin County School Boards Association had their year-end gathering social event, and I was able to attend that as well. So, turn it to Superintendent Derby.
Okay, yesterday was the AVID recognition for students at Novato High, and Joni Leith was doing the Master of Ceremonies for the first time. And so it's also always a very tearful experience, and the kids were fabulous, and the Avid teachers at Novato High were just stellar. Leslie, where are you? You got some photos from that, and so I don't know, I hope you're going to be posting something, because they were. Okay, perfect. So that was a really great experience yesterday, and then today, all the Avid seniors went to their elementary schools and their middle schools and they kind of do a walk around the campus, and the kids are all out there cheering, and it's just a wonderful event. So I would just like to introduce Franny, who will share with us our new administrators that were just hired, and we're very excited to have them.
Awesome. I get to do something fun tonight. So first, I would love to have Ms. Liz Seabury come up to the microphone. Liz is coming to us, actually that one right there. Thank you. She's coming to us with nearly 30 years in education, most recently in the TAM Union High School District, where she is currently Senior Director of Inclusion and Intervention and also interim principal at TAM High. And she's been a principal of high school for 9 years. So she comes to us with some great experience, and I'll just let her say hi and introduce herself to you.
Thank you, Franny. Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me. It was wonderful meeting all of you a little bit ago, and I'm thrilled to be here. So excited to step into Novato High School. It'll be my third school. Actually, I've been a principal in, and I tried the district office, and no offense to my lovely friends in the district office, it didn't stick for me. I'm much more of a high school. I like to be on campus with the kids, so I can hardly wait to jump into the hornet's nest. Right, thank you.
All right, and last but not least, would Whitney McEachern please come up? I am excited to announce Whitney as the next principal at San Jose Middle School, where she's currently the assistant principal. She's been here in Novato, if you don't know, since 2009. And just insider information, she was on my interview panel when I was selected to come back here, and she's had a special place in my heart since then. So just sharing, just side note. We're excited to have you, Whitney.
Thank you, Franny. Thank you all for having me tonight. I think some of you know I'm actually a product of NUSD myself. So I attended Olive Elementary, Pleasant Valley Elementary, Sinaloa Middle, San Marin High School. Got to shadow this lovely lady right here when I was in high school. I knew I always wanted to be an educator. So coming back to Novato and serving the community that really created the road for me to success is just it's really magical, special, and beyond a privilege. So thanks for having me.
But could she just introduce Ryan and the kids? I mean,
Oh yes,
seriously.
my family is here.
Yeah. Okay, come up. Could you come up for a minute so everyone can see you? Henry, come up. And girls.
Eloise is representing
Eloise,
Pleasant Valley.
Come on.
Want to come say hi?
Just for a minute, really
Wave them
fast.
back. Look at them. They're like, no way, you're putting
Not
me on the
coming
spot
up here.
now.
Oh,
I've got
gosh.
3 little cuties, 2 at Pleasant Valley Elementary, and 1 starting at Pleasant Valley next year. So all 3 will be at PV. And bless my husband for supporting me in this role. Thank you, everyone. Oh, what do you think? Is your mascot going to take mine, or is mine going to take yours? Eloise says eagle gets the scorpion. So there we go. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our presentations this evening. Kind of 2 exciting things. We have School Fuel here tonight. We're going to do our bike giveaway. This is from the Tour of Novato, and Susan Matthews is here, the director of School Fuel, and Kate McNair, president of School Fuel. Yeah. She just got here.
Hi, everybody. We are really excited tonight to bring back the bike giveaway from the Tour of Novato. Thank you to Mike's Bikes for donating the bike that we are going to select from this bowl right now. And we also want to say thank you very much to all of the board members, to the City of Novato, the many parents, businesses, community members who came out to support this great event. And mark your calendars. We'll be back May 11th of 2024. So we're going to dump these all in here so she can face things. Danielle Walker.
All right, our next presentation this evening is the Marin Athletic Federation Scholar Athletes of the Year for the Nevada Unified School District. And we have Michelle Smith and Tyler Peterson here, our athletic directors.
Hello. Thank you for having us. We are here to celebrate 4 of the NUSD athletes, 2 from Novato and 2 from San Marin. Marin Athletic Foundation every year picks 2 students from every high school to honor them for what they did on the field, in the classroom, and community service and school involvement. So tonight for Novato, we're honoring Hunter Smith for football and lacrosse and Gianna Scafani for basketball and water polo.
And just like Michelle said, we're really proud of the kids for getting these awards. They're really prestigious. Only 2 kids get them, boy and girl. Sadly, Darius couldn't be with us tonight, but we do have our girls winner, Keely Wright, is here, and we're really excited to give her award. You were quick.
All of us?
Sure.
Congratulations. All right. Well, that was exciting to honor our athletes, achieving that. We do have, moving on to non-agenda public comment, and then we'll move into our staff report and discussion action. So I do have some comment cards here for non-agenda public comment. Just for each speaker, I will call off, I have 5 speakers. I will call out the first 2 to come up, one right after the other, and then I'll call the next 2 after that. You have 3 minutes each to speak before the board. You just come up right to this mic. The timer is right over there to your left. Just please stay within 3 minutes. It will beep at the end of 3 minutes and conclude your remarks if you could. And just for non-agenda public comment, the board cannot comment. We can't engage in a dialogue with you because the item that you're speaking to is not on the agenda. We have to really hold to that. What we can do is either give direction, ask staff to provide more information to the board later on, or follow up with you after the board meeting. So that's the part that we can do. So our first 2 speakers are Julia Kavanaugh and Lindley Perez Ross. Those are our first 2. Hi, welcome.
Hi. My name is Julia Kavanaugh. I know some of you from serving on committees and some of you just by seeing you. I am a parent at Loma Verde Elementary School. I have a 2nd grader and a 4th grader there. I am a yard duty there because I wanted to be with the kids, and I'm the outgoing president of our PTO. I've served 3 years as president of the PTO. Last year, while I was on campus just being there as a parent, I happened to walk into our multipurpose room where our kitchens are. When I walked in there, there was the fire marshal, there was the health inspector, and there was NUSD staff. We had the NUSD maintenance team there, and we also had the fan staff. And what was happening was the fire marshal shut our kitchen down because there was exhaust blowing into the kitchen and it was no longer safe. As a parent, I stood there and I listened to people say, "This is not my job. This is your job to fix this." And the conversation went on and on for about 10 minutes. And I said, "Excuse me, I'd like to interrupt. Your job is to feed those children. You have 400 children to feed today. And as of right now, all food is free for all children. So you might have 400 mouths to feed snack to and lunch to. That is your job to figure out." After that, they tried to figure out how to resolve the issue, how to fix the problem. For the last year, over a year, there has been no food that can be cooked at our kitchens at Loma Verde School. We have had food brought into us from Linwood Elementary School and San Jose Middle School, which we greatly appreciate. But there's things on the menu such as teriyaki rice bowls, orange chicken bowls, macaroni and cheese that our children are having on the menus expecting to have, and they can't be brought in because they can't be shipped over. As food comes from those schools, they come in packages, almost like you're delivering pizza. They give it to our kitchens, where our kitchens then put it in a warmer, and it sits there for 4 to 6 hours. Those children, sometimes by the end of the day, especially the 4th and 5th graders, either don't have enough food because enough wasn't brought to us, or they don't have food that they can actually eat because it's no longer edible. It's so cooked in the microwave or in the warming ovens. Our fans team does the best that they can, but it's unacceptable that these children are getting Hot Pockets, cheese bread sticks, and a rotation of pizza, once in a while chicken tenders. It's not food that's always edible, and especially for the children that have allergies or lactose intolerant, they come to school expecting something and can't have that food to eat and don't have food at all to eat. We are asking for your help to fix this problem. Ideally, the first and basic thing what we can do is replace the ovens and replace the vents so that they fit and all work together. The most wonderful thing, and that would be the best alternative, is to get a whole new kitchen like PV did so that we can actually serve food, not just have refrigerators to use and the warming stations. They can literally only wash their hands and keep food cold, and besides the warmers. So I appreciate your time. I know a lot of you receive letters from our parents, but after a year of waiting, we just wanted to make our voices heard. So thank you.
Thank you. So the board did receive several emails from parents regarding that, and I actually discussed it with Dr. Derby, and we discussed it in agenda planning. Is there any additional information that you want to?
I've done some history.
Can you turn your mic on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have been doing the same thing that you're doing and asking a lot of questions, and I think my preference would be to go with what our food service person wanted to do 1 year ago, and is to get a new oven and have an electric versus what we have is gas, and then the vents are the problem. So we're in process, and that's what we need to look at, and I appreciate you being here, Julia.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Lindley Perez-Ross, a special education teacher and the new vice president of special education for the Teachers Union here at Novato. I am here today to support our amazing speech and language pathologists and school psychologists who, unfortunately, are feeling that their trust in negotiation with the district has taken a step back as their salary negotiations have been paused without warning or explanation. Novato Unified certainly understands that transparency is a key factor in any good faith relationship. Our educators and service providers use their expertise to support students day in and day out, and in return expect a level of professionalism and respect from the district. However, when our highly qualified and capable providers came to the negotiation table to work with Novato Unified to negotiate compensation that equals the level of support they are providing, they are met with an unannounced and unexpected pause, which have left feelings of frustration and loss of trust in the district to represent their worth as dedicated members of Novato Unified. Without trust in the district to come to the table in good faith and transparency, how is any service provider or educator expected to feel that their district represents and values their jobs? Novato Unified is the large district in the county, if not the largest, yet one of the lowest paid. Novato Unified, rightly so, has high standards in who we hire and retain. Yet without compensation that matches the high standards Novato Unified has, and without trust in the negotiation process, how is any educator expected to stay, let alone feel respected and welcome? If we want to recruit and retain high-quality staff, we must provide equitable compensation and practice transparent negotiations. We are here not only to demand transparency as to why the negotiations have paused, but also to remind the district that we wouldn't be here as educators and providers if we didn't care deeply about making this district the strongest it can be for our students. And the backbone of that strength is a highly qualified, equitably compensated workforce that feels respected and appreciated, not only in words, but in deeds. Thank you.
Thank you. The next two speakers are Mariah Fisher and Jen Langfield. And actually, the third one is Shanti Roshlis. Excuse me if I've mispronounced it. And then that's the last speaker. Hi, Mariah.
Hi, good evening. Hold on. Okay. My name is Mariah Fisher. All of you know me. I'm here to speak to you tonight as both the president of Novato Federation of Teachers and also as a parent of a special ed student here in Novato. I've been talking about my son up here on this mic for a really long time, since he was in 3rd grade, and he is going to be a senior next year, if you can believe it. You're almost done with me up here talking about him. But he was diagnosed on the spectrum when he was in kindergarten, and we have been blessed with some amazing special ed team members for him. We have been really lucky. We had a very consistent speech and language pathologist path for him with Christina Hawkins at Loma Verde, Natalie Hessian at San Jose, and Tristan Levy currently at Novato High. It is so important to have that consistency. When you're on the spectrum, if there's not trust, there is not communication, right? So building those relationships, it has been the only way that he's been able to really trust the other side of the table. And the progress has been great. We have some teletherapists on our speech and language pathologist team right now. They're not in Novato. I'm so blessed to say my son doesn't have one of those, and I'm concerned that we are going to continue with these teletherapists because our pay scale is not bringing in the locals, and we need the locals. We need our speech and language pathologists and our psychologists rooted here. They need to understand what our students are going through, not through a Zoom, but through walking the streets, walking the campuses. And the fact that they can go in any direction and get paid considerably more is a problem. We have open positions that we have had for years. This is a critical issue that you need to solve. And what we're doing is we're putting more and more on the backs of people who are here, and we're overworking them. And with burnout, they're going to, leave. They're going to say, okay, well, I guess now it is time for me to leave and get $20,000 more a year because I can't sustain what you're asking me to do. That's my parent hat. Please, they are such a critical role of the IEP team. I speak as an experienced special ed parent. Our psychs and SLPs lead those services that are really critical, especially for our students on the autism spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Jen Langfield. I'm a school psychologist, but I'm also up here speaking for the SLPs as well. I work at San Jose Middle School. When I came to this school at the beginning of the year, there was a huge backlog of students that had not been served, students who were still getting services that they didn't need, students who had not been served, students who were getting services that they desperately needed and that needed a change in services. These services included a wide range of assessments, counseling, parent and teacher consultations, behavior plans, etc. The middle school, like so many other schools within the district in the past, only had a school psychologist for a small percentage of the time that was actually needed. The reason, you may ask, why there continues to be vacancies, why so many students are not served appropriately, is because our salaries continue to remain low. So year after year, we lose school psychologists and cannot fill vacancies. Schools in Southern Marin just steal school psychologists from the district almost every year. Each year, the students at least one school in the district are not getting the services that they desperately need. You have the power to stop this cycle. It is not only to attract school psychologists and SLPs, but to allow them to feel fairly treated and want to stay. And most importantly, to allow the kids that need special education services to be appropriately served. Please stop the cycle. Please increase our salary to a more competitive level. Thank you.
just want to start by saying this is an email that I sent to the board last week, and I have not heard back from any of you. I am the school psychologist at San Marin High School. Last year, I was an intern for NUSD. Despite the lower pay offered by the district, I chose to stay here for my first year in the field because of the supportive psychologist team. They're right there. This year, we had 2 exceptional interns who we would have been lucky to keep. However, we lost the opportunity due to such a discrepancy in our pay scale, among other district-level mistakes. Not only do we not have the 2 interns to add to our team, but we've lost the internship program, which is how myself and another psychologist were introduced to NUSD. For anyone who's unaware, school psychologists and speech pathologists are essentially the gatekeepers of special education. We are the only individuals who are qualified to do the necessary psychoeducational and speech-language assessments, which support in determining if a student qualifies for or exits from special education. We're trained in special education law and ethics, provide counseling for students with significant mental health needs, support the development of mental health programs, and are leaders during crises. To have a strong multi-tiered school system, the district must be fully staffed in school psychologists and speech pathologists, which has not been the case for many years. We were notified 2 weeks ago that the salary schedule for us had been tabled by the board, which is extremely disappointing, as NFT has been working in collaboration with the district since February on the salary schedule. We were even left out of the SPED stipend due to the agreement that with the district that our salary schedule would be adjusted to reflect our actual qualifications and make us slightly more competitive with surrounding districts. This agreement was made after the 13.26 increase. The district assured us that the salary change was a priority and would be implemented by August. It appears that we should have gotten this agreement in writing and not taken the district's word on good faith. The district made a commitment, spent multiple hours in collaboration with NFT, had multiple meetings, and now we're disappointed to hear that this conversation has been tabled. That is a huge breach in trust. Had we known in February that this change was not going to happen, some of us would have made the decision to look for different positions, as we can be paid at least $20,000 more in any district in any direction. We are already significantly understaffed as school psychologists, and the district is spending more money in contracting out speech-language pathologists than investing in the professionals that are already a part of NUSD. To put this in perspective, the interns that the district was unable to retain will be making $30,000 more as first-year school psychologists in neighboring districts than a third-year school psychologist in NUSD. This proposed schedule would have supported us to be more competitive and would help us retain the team that we have. This situation has left me aware of how devalued we are in the district and makes me consider if NUSD is only a stepping stone or if it can prove to be a district worth staying in long-term. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I did receive one last card. It does not have a name on it. It's regarding the Loma Verde Kitchen. So if you just turned it in, please come. Hi. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Robb. I'm a parent of multiple children at Loma Verde. Before I talk about the kitchen, I do want to say I have experience with special education. Ms. Hawkins at Loma Verde is an excellent credit to your organization. Loma Verde has not had a functioning kitchen for the entire Universal Meals program that has been in effect. There is funding available for redoing kitchens. AB 181, the Education Omnibus budget trailer, has apportioned $600 million to the general fund of the state for kitchen infrastructure, upgrades and equipment, and staffing for schools. The money is available to fix the Loma Verde kitchen in full. I do want to point out that I believe your item 15C for the agenda today for the approval of the contract for the HVAC control upgrade project for the district office is an example of misplaced priorities, because you have an HVAC system that does not work at Loma Verde, and you're going to spend tonight an approval for $350,000 to fix a functioning HVAC system and just upgrade it, rather than fixing an HVAC system that hasn't been working for more than a year. The board item for the HVAC system upgrade has been, at the last board meeting, approved for the, went out to bid for $350,000 dollars, which was beyond the budget estimate of $150,000. It's more than $200,000 more than the money that was set aside to do it for the construction, plus another $60,000 toward the project. So it's looking like it's going to be $410,000 to upgrade the HVAC system for the district offices, while again, Loma Verde's HVAC system is not being repaired. I think that's a misplaced priority of the board. The budget item is the fund item 14, only has $811,000 in it. The fund that this upgrade system is coming from is looking like half of that reserve is being set aside for this upgrade to the HVAC system, a working system, while the Loma Verde HVAC system is not working. I'm calling upon the board to spend the money for the students for an HVAC system that has problems with gas circulation in the building, and please address this issue immediately for the safety of the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you just follow up on the HVAC for Loma Verde? I'm not aware of.
I am not aware that the HVAC system at Loma Verde does not work.
Okay,
Only
thank
the
you.
kitchen, I'm very well
You're
aware of the kitchen.
Right, okay, thank you. All right, that concludes and thank you for each of you for coming out tonight to speak before the board. We'll move on to our staff report.
President?
Yes.
So my understanding is you just asked the superintendent to get some follow-up information on this HVAC
Yes.
situation. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
The staff report, this is item 12A, the athletic director's annual report, which we hear every year at this time, and our athletic directors will be back up to present to us.
You're going to be tired of us by the end of tonight.
Yeah, it's an athletic.
Yeah, I got this.
You think it was a mid-year report when looking at the weather outside.
Yeah.
And then the slideshow. Perfect. Okay, like Debbie said, we are here every year to give you guys an overview of our athletic departments. So we're just going to go through the slides, and if you guys have any questions, we'll leave some time at the end. Not much change from last year with sports. However, you'll listen to us later about a sport coming in the fall, this fall, 2023, in flag football for girls. But fall, winter, and spring season is pretty much the same.
In terms of participation this year, we had, in the fall, we had 337. In the winter, we had 245 athletes. And spring sports, we had 357, which is 939 athletes altogether, and 15 teams per season, which we were really proud of.
And Novato, in the fall, 228, winter, 227, and then spring, 235. And then the reason why we have a little less numbers in the winter and the spring is in the winter, we didn't have a girls' freshman basketball team, and in the spring, we didn't have a JV softball team.
And our football team is pretty big.
Yeah.
Registrations, again, same numbers athletes-wise, same teams. We are really proud of the GPAs, though. In the fall, we had close to everybody. We had football, boys and girls water polo, girls volleyball, girls golf, cheer, and cross country, all above 3.0. In the winter sports, we had all of our teams reach above 3.0. And in the spring, baseball, softball, girls lacrosse, boys volleyball, boys tennis, boys golf, swimming, and track and field all achieved that goal. And we're proud to say that we had a lot of athletes that individually that had reached 3.5 or higher. 85 in the fall, 40 in the winter, and spring had 83.
And for Novato, I did not break it down by sport, but we had 9 teams with a 3.0 GPA or higher, with cheer winning the NCS Scholastic Award for the year. And that's all North Coast section teams. Winter, 6 of our teams, and then in spring we had 8, and our boys track team won the Scholastic Award as well. And then our Scholastic athletes, you can see there, 58, 62, and 77. Yes, sir.
You clarify what the Scholastic Award is? Is us against other campuses or
Yeah, so
schools, or-
of the schools that are in North Coast section, we compete for the highest GPA for all of them, and my boys track and my cheer team won the highest GPA award for those sports.
Thank you for clarification. Thanks.
All right. Just as we awarded earlier, these are our 2 from each school Marin Athletic Foundation Award winners. Health and wellness, our athletic trainers have been huge this year and really helpful, and we're really proud to say that they'll be back, including ours will be teaching. I think yours is already teaching. Both of our athletic trainers will be teaching classes next year, which we're really excited about, and they gave us all of this information. Concussion test assessment, of course, 100%. On the San Marin side, we had 13 concussions. Athletic injuries other than that were 175. 3 calls to 911. 90 referrals to the ER, and 30 student-athlete encounters per day.
So I didn't compare the numbers from last year, but as you can see, having an athletic trainer full-time on campus is a huge bonus for us. Our athletes are spoiled rotten because they do physical therapy with them. They don't have to go off campus, and they're able to get back on the fields quicker. These numbers might look big to you, but then when you talk about the injuries that they have and how quickly they're able to come back is incredible. So you see that we have 100% in concussion tests because we require them to take it before they play any sport on our campus, because if they get hit in the head, we can test them and see if they're ready to come back. It's the one place on your body that a trainer can't evaluate. So we allow this test to help us with that. And then you can see the numbers. They're pretty close. We have a little bit more injuries and a little bit more referrals, but overall, it's pretty even.
Comparable, yeah. Facility updates. These are going forward, not the ones that we just had this recently. Our pool is their pool, so all of their information is ours. Baseball, the mound is not lasting through an entire season. Need to replace before and midway through every season. The sound system also is needed for baseball. Down at the bottom, I do have field turf is now scheduled to come out regularly monthly, which is great. That helps our baseball field a lot, as well as the product that goes into it. I believe sand and cork, I think it is. Our weight room, I brought this up to our principal earlier today. She giggled. But we would like a bigger weight room at some point. Like I said, our football teams are large among other teams that we do have, and it'd be nice to get all of them in there at once. And that's, a dream down the road, I think. Our main gym, I believe the numbers, I think our bleachers last were done in 2008, and it's long overdue for repair for bleachers for the main gym and our football field. I also put in a work order to have it painted in the main gym so we can get a nice brighter look in there. Excuse me, sorry. And our coaches are pushing for a new scoreboard, so we'll see. Again, football field, we want new bleachers. Railings would be a good start. Tennis courts, we're really excited at San Marin on June 26th. We're putting in new courts, redoing and resurfacing those courts. And then another project we're working on top of that is right outside the tennis courts. We're hoping to put an ADA accessible pathway from the corner of where the tennis courts start along the front way, in front of the bleachers, leading up to the shed where all the tennis stuff is kept. And then our upper practice field, which grew grass finally this year, which we were really excited about, still needs to, however, be leveled and mowed regularly. And then we're hoping in a couple of years at least it gets turfed, so more teams can use it year-round.
A lot of the same things for Novato. I have to first say that we are both very spoiled with the fields that you guys put in for us, so thank you very much, and our coaches are loving it. However, your baseball coaches, they were used to taking care of the field every day before and after practice. They don't have to do it as much, but they're still putting the dirt and the cork in the areas that they use a lot. And like San Marin, the mound doesn't last a year. Yeah. And we've been talking to Field Turf about the best options on what to do if they just come out and replace it, or if we get Velcro pieces to go on top, or if we go down back to a clay mound. We're still talking with them, and we'll bring it to you with what they say. But that's the toughest part of baseball. The batting areas seem to be okay as long as they keep filling the areas. And as long as we keep getting the refiller, we'll be fine there. The weight room, the same thing. It's so great to see our athletes wanting to work out now. When I first started as an athletic director, nobody wanted to ever go in the weight room. Now it's a problem because we don't have enough space. So hopefully that would be on our next wish list on expanding that. The struggle I have in my gym, I can't use 3 of my baskets, 1 in the old gym and 2 in the Gordon. They can't go up and down. There's a bracket broken. I know that maintenance came out to look at it. It's, I don't know, above their pay grade or just not, the company has to come out, but it still hasn't been fixed. I have a basketball camp coming around this summer, and I would love to get that fixed before then. The old gym, same thing, the hoop doesn't go up and down. So if you have people in the stands, they're hitting their head on the hoop. So I would love to get those 2 things fixed. Painting would be wonderful as well. The tennis courts, I think I've talked to you guys about the tennis courts and swimming lights over and over again. They just need to be redirected to the main area. They're not. We've been waiting for the big lift to be fixed to bring it out. But right now my pool lights are shining to the locker rooms instead of the pool, and my tennis lights are to the end line instead of the main court. So those would be the main things we need to get done for that. And we were excited to hear that our pool might be resurfaced, but I know you guys are dealing with the topic later that we're not ready to deal with the company on that. So hopefully that will happen sooner than later because our water polo teams start August 7th. We'd love to have the pool open this summer since it's not being replastered. That's a whole different question. And then having field turf come out more frequently has been a major benefit for us because you don't see the wear and tear on the field as much as we did 2 years ago when we first got it. So thank you for that.
San Marin's athletic achievements this year, there were a lot of them. We're really proud of them. Football, of course, NCS and state champions. Cheer competed in regionals. Boys water polo qualified for an NCS playoff game. Boys and girls basketball each made MCAL playoffs and NCS playoffs. The girls advanced to the NorCal championships. Wrestling had 5 wrestlers qualified for NCS. 2 girls went to state. Boys and girls soccer both went to an NCS playoff game this year. Baseball and softball each made it to the MCAL playoffs, and both went to the NCS quarterfinals before they were beaten. Girls lacrosse made NCS playoffs as well. Swimming had 5 go to the NCS, and track and field got their first JV track and field got their first MCAL title in 20 years, which we're really proud of. And 6 varsity athletes competed in NCS, and then, as we'll get into the next slide, 11 student athletes at San Marin signed on for college athletics at the next level.
The Novato achievements, we have baseball. They went to the North Coast section quarterfinals. Cheer and dance won regional and nationals for the 5th year in a row. Boys lacrosse qualified for MCAL playoffs and quarterfinals of NCS. Girls golf, we got a qualifier in Brianna. Boys soccer, MCAL playoffs and NCS playoffs. Softball, NCS playoffs for the first time in a few years, so that was really big. Swimming, we had many athletes go to NCS, and then we had 1 qualify for state in Brighton who is committed to go to UC Santa Barbara to swim there. Track and field, we qualified for league finals in 16, went to NCS. Boys tennis, at the last minute, our doubles team was able to qualify for North Coast section. It was a long drive for them to go compete, but they had a great time doing that. And then our boys volleyball team, we doubled in size, so we were able to have a boys JV. We don't technically have a boys JV league, but we were able to put some scrimmages together just so we can get them going. Boys water polo, NCS, and then wrestling, we had our 2 state finalists in Luana and Kakoa. And every year there's a Madsen Award and Cutler Award, 1 female wrestler and 1 male wrestler that win those awards. And our wrestlers got that again for the 2nd time in a row. And then for our college-bound athletes, we had 2 sign, and I don't know if you guys know the difference, but there's NC2A teams where you actually sign a letter of intent where you get a scholarship and you get a spot on the team. I did not include all the club and kids that are going to walk on, so we probably have about 10 that are going on for lacrosse, baseball, and one other. I can't remember.
Again, this is a collage of all the schools that our kids at the next level will be going to. We were really happy last week to have our signing day for those spring athletes that weren't honored in the fall. You'll see one unique one, Missouri Valley College. We had a kid who's not part of our athletic department. He's a trap shooter, and he's going to Missouri Valley College to compete there, and they have high aspirations, and we're really excited. And the other colleges, I think, we had Sonoma State from both sides. We have a baseball player going to Sonoma State, and
volleyball player for girls volleyball. Women's volleyball, I guess.
And Keely, who you met earlier, she's going to Southern Oregon to play basketball, which we're really excited about. Coaching positions open for next year. Anyone available? Our soccer program could use a few. We're a little open there. Our girls side, girls varsity and girls JV, both need a coach. Our boys JV, and then you'll see at the bottom, our boys freshman team, I put an asterisk because it depends on the numbers every year. This last year we were lucky to have one, but again, it depends on the numbers that we get that time. Boys tennis we still need, and then wrestling, we hired Corey Boyd as our boys coach, but we're still kind of in waiting to see if we need a girls head coach and a JV or varsity or JV assistant. All right, and then
Nevada's looking for water polo. My boys' varsity coach has coached both the JV and the varsity for the last few years, and he's willing to do it again, but I prefer to have a single coach for each team. And then my girls' water polo coach is moving out of the area, so we are looking. I think that's probably one of the toughest sports to find, just because there's not a lot of water polo coaches here, and if they are, they're coaching in the East Bay or Shack down in Southern Marin. So if there's anybody out there that has a little experience in water polo, that would be wonderful.
just take turns.
Okay, let me do this.
Yeah. Some challenges for the upcoming year. The first one, yearly cost of officiating mandatory games. The price for officials has gone up this year, and the money that we're given to pay those officials is not enough. I think we run out by November maybe, and we need to be able to pay these officials and umpires that work really hard and be able to keep them, because there is a definite shortage of umpires across all sports. So.
Yeah, I think this has been a common denominator the last 3 years I've come in here, and I think that this year has been the best working environment with the district, because you were able to give us a little bit more funds this year to cover more of the costs, and we hope that can continue going forward, so we can take that money and pay for the officials. If the overage is coming out of our gate fees, and you'll see in another presentation that we have, the gate fees that we have is nice for now. We carried it over from before COVID, and we've been able to dip into that, but that's going to go away if we continue to use it for officialing fees, and we won't be able to have much left. And then for the maintenance of our fields, we don't get any money from rentals, but we want to rent the facilities, so we bring in money for the district. The trouble is that fundraising in our individual sports to pay for that overuse and the goals and the nets and everything that comes with it when you're renting our, not that you know what an extender is in the pool, but we take out the lanes and the extenders get lost. I mean, they don't cost a lot, but over time you have to buy a lot over the season. So those kind of things we don't have any funds to pay for. So those are continued challenges that we have.
Yeah, not to mention the constant use of our fields, which is year round at this point, especially our baseball and softball and football field. Even though we do have field turf coming out more regularly, the wear and tear on it is something that can't be fixed on a regular basis. And again, teams have been responsible for replacing their own safety equipment for the past few years. That's something we're really big on, hoping that safety equipment should be done by the district, and our teams themselves should be getting the outlying stuff like uniforms and cones and drills and stuff like that.
And I think we're going to be talking about that funding later, so that I think that we'll be covering those issues. But those are the most of the challenges going forward. It comes down to funding. Volunteers is always another challenge, but we didn't bring that here because that's not a district issue. Any questions?
Any questions?
Questions from the board? Trustee Gasson?
First, a comment. I actually had a conversation with a parent. My daughter did track, and it's nice to see you. I've been getting a lot of messages from you. The student, I guess, hurt themselves, either I don't remember if it was pole vault or long jump, but her comment was how instrumental the trainer was. She said, right away, identified what was wrong. She said it made her feel at ease, this kid at ease as well. So there's that added component of just having, somebody that knows what's happened that was clearly important and well appreciated for the parents. The question I actually have is related to one of the earlier slides about the lighting, and it might be just really simplistic to me, but why can't we just turn the lights a different direction?
For a couple months, our lift that reaches the lights was broken. And so we were waiting for parts for that lift. They tried the smaller lift to get up to them, but they couldn't get to them. I think the bigger lift is fixed now. So now we have to just get the lift out to Novato and fix both the pool and the tennis lights.
Okay, is this like a cherry picker
Yeah.
kind of thing? Okay,
Is
so
that
we're
what it is? Are those what, is that what a cherry picker? Scissor lift,
Oh,
thank
yeah,
you, scissor lift.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we can like
Seems pretty
rent
simple
one.
to go out there and just fix it.
And move them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like something we
Hopefully
can
it's
ask staff
fixed,
to
and
follow
if not,
up
we
on.
can figure that out. Thank you.
And just another comment on the trainers. They are so professional and they are so knowledgeable. I mean, Brendan and Mike are two of the best. I worked with Brendan at San Marin my first year and been working with Mike the last year. And they are so careful with what they do. And if they are not sure, they always send them to a doctor. They always check in with the athletes. They're always working with the coaches. And so they are two of the best. So thank you for what you're doing for them as well.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off that, like I said, Brendan is starting his class next year. He's got 2 classes he'll be teaching, and the maximum for those 2 classes is 60 kids, 30 per class. I think he has 200 kids signed up right now, so there's going to be a lot of kids that are disappointed, but we love to see that interest, and a lot of that's due to his work with us and his athletic training that is so instrumental to our success. So.
Trustee Pickus and then Trustee Mack.
Just a quick comment, the GPA report out for your teams is really exciting and impressive. And I know that there's a huge focus on the academics as well as the sports, and there's a lot happening there, but just congratulations. That's really exciting to see.
Thank you for the TOSA positions. That's been helping at Novato.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the report and thank you for all the work you guys have done. Obviously, a great deal of success, great deal of participation, and it just reflects that there's, while we're here to help kids get their education, the athletics is part of that education. It's a classroom. Quite often, people forget that and think it's just games. It's not. There's a good portion of our students who probably would be much less motivated to go to high school if they didn't have sports. And sports is a big part of the reason that gets their motor going and gets them to get those better grades because they know that it's a competition. They want to be part of it. So thank you for everything you're doing. And I do have questions on dollars and cents, but we'll save that for later. But one thing I will just say, just as an idea, just about the officials, I really don't think the site should be paying that. We should just pay that straight through the district office, straight pass through, get you guys out of that business.
Trustee Miller?
2 things. First off, the number of Novato students who are able to get a scholarship ride into a college path is impressive. So that's clearly dollars and cents. It doesn't show up on our budget, but it certainly shows up on family budgets. It makes doors open that otherwise would have been closed. And to me, that's the promise of public education and the Novato School District to our community. The second thing is I went through the reports that I list, and I only see one national title listed, and it's the cheer team at the Novato High School, and I'd like to make special note of the achievement because I know this is not the first year that that's been true. So I'd like to acknowledge that particular team and their success.
Thank you very much.
All right, if there's no more comments, I would just say with Novato High, it seems like there's a couple things that need to be repaired. That she's got a basketball camp coming in, Michelle said, and those need to be taken care of. And I'm assuming work orders have been put in. And
Yeah, the work orders, we did have maintenance come out. They can't do
Okay.
it. We need to call the company.
Okay.
And that's, I think maintenance came out a month ago, so.
Okay.
I don't know when the company plans on coming out.
So somehow we need to get that. And then the lights redirection, that would be important to get those taken care of. Okay, so, well, thank you to both of you for this report annually that you come every year. We really appreciate it. And the work you do day in and day out. I know some days are truly longer than you expect, and it's well appreciated from this board, so know that. And sports is such an important part of the academic, in the students' academics. So, okay, so we'll conclude that for this, and we'll move on to the next item.
Jen and Ray, if you'd like to come up in case there's questions. Are you eating dinner? Just in case there's questions. So several board meetings ago, you requested information, and it really surfaced when Diane was saying the pole vault had to be paid by the coach at San Marin, and we all just looked at each other and said, "Are you kidding?" And so what we've been doing since then, so it's been a couple of months that we've been gathering information, and I'd like to narrow it. I mean, this is a fat, huge document that you had to read, but the fact is I'd like to narrow it down to 3 areas, and we'll have slides that go with them. I want us to look at what's on the cover, what the areas that we'd like to discuss. The page 6 is the budget that was being referenced by Tyler and Michelle. And then the final one is short-term goals and long-term goals. So this is, it's way more than we can handle in one night, but what I would like you to do is give us direction so that we can get started on the priorities. You already saw the priorities that Tyler and Michelle listed as repairs and lighting and the things that they need just to function. And what I really need us to do is look at the costs of the different areas and say, what Greg, you were just saying, what is the responsibility of the district and what is the responsibility of the sites, and the money that is coming in for the gate or for rentals, where should that go? That's what we want direction on. So if we're going to have, you can see that we're bringing girls football tonight, flag football. So that's an additional $10,000 tariff, right? And we want to do it. I mean, this is not like I'm saying that because of the dollar amount. What I'm saying is that if we're going to continue to thrive with cheer and all the athletics, we need to support it. And this nickel and diming that these two over here are having to do is really rough. The sports boosters are fabulous. One school is earning way more than the other. And we need to look at how we're equalizing the support for each of our schools. No one is trying to take money away from anybody, so I want to make sure that's really clear. That's not why we asked for this information. But the fact is that we need to say, what does it cost for a student to participate and have some equalization there? If it's $50 at one school and $150 at the other, that doesn't make sense, right? And then we want to make sure that we have funding for kids that don't have the ability to pay. And what are we going to do to support them and to make sure? So when you look at our wrestlers and when you look at our soccer kids and when you look at all the sports and you start seeing that we don't have a balance of ethnicities and races in all of the sports, you start saying, is that because they haven't joined a team because they didn't have the direction? We talked about that when we were talking about Hamilton and how important those sports teams were as they're coming up so they can really compete at the high school. Those are all really important things for us to grapple with. So we're going to get started, and we're going to do the first slide is really the recommendations that we have on the cover sheet. And what's important is that we make some decisions, right, tonight, then give us some direction so that when we get started again in the fall, that things are ready to go. So these are the recommendations that we are bringing forth for you to respond to. And you might want to hear the whole presentation and ask questions and have them discuss what's really happening at their sites. But initial installation facilities, this is where we started when Diane said the pole vault. And we went, what? A coach paid $26,000 for a pole vault? So that's really one thing we'd like to say that this is a district expense. Safety facilities upgrades. If it's a safety issue, that's our responsibility as a district. Equalize the student fees. So that's the one that I just mentioned. Ensure all students have access to all the sports. Another thing I just mentioned. An agreement with the users. This is really an important one. We have really great agreements with Little League and some football. We do not have an equal amount of agreements for our girls' sports, softball, or some of the others. And I think we need to get that balance so that we have fabulous people in our community that want to do the work and the maintenance of our fields, but we haven't gotten to a place where we have agreements with all of them. And I think that's another suggestion I want to make. So do you have anything on any of those that you wanted to add?
Yeah, my only thing is the equalizing of the student fees, just so you are aware, I would love to charge what San Marin charges. We have 27% of our parents that pay $50. We keep it low because we want more parents to pay, but we have a very, very low number, so we keep it low. I'd like to raise it. I don't want them to change theirs. I think that they are flourishing because of it, and I'm hoping to get to that point, and I'm hoping to increase our percentage every year. That's the one that I'm struggling with, because I think that San Marin is doing it right, and I want to get Novato to that point. It's just we need more parents to do that.
And we may have to discuss subsidizing how
Can
we're
I-
going to do that.
Can I ask how is that? I remember going in and registering through whatever the platform was, and I remember there was a couple things I had an option for or whatever. So what exactly consists of the fee? Like, why is it 75 or 150? I don't know. I've lost my page now, but
So those are program donations that you can, again, you don't have to, but if you want to, there's specific per sport. I think it's football and lacrosse. Ask for at San Marin they ask for 250. Most other sports it's 150 or 75, and it just breaks down. And a lot of it has to do with the equipment that needs to be purchased for those sports. Like for example, football, it's the
but
helmets, it's the
it's
pads.
determined by the school. Like, there's no like, this is what you like. The site has a registration fee, or this. It's just a number that's determined by somebody, like boosters or staff or something.
Yeah, and it's what is needed and what are what their wants are. For example, a football team wants or needs more new pads for their sleds.
Got it. Okay.
So some of that money is going to go to new pads for their
Got it.
sleds.
Okay,
And the
thank you.
footballs and the kicking tees and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Miller?
The dilemma that we're all on is that this is a public education institution. It's free and appropriate public education for every student. So even if you say it's $50 or $250, that raises the dilemma. Even if it's $5, it raises the dilemma that we have to consider. And there's, I mean, the other reality of Novato is we can't offer these rich programs without contributions from the community over and above what the state supports the school district for. We have to find a way to partner that meets our constitutional obligation and serves our students so they can get scholarships to colleges and get rides and sponsorship and learn the skills of how to compete in a real world. I assume the reason you say it's 50 is because that's more affordable to your community than 250, and you've made some judgment about who can walk on the field. But it still leaves me with this problem: is how do we meet the if we get challenged? Our job is to provide a free and appropriate public education, and I do believe Novato is offering close to 20 programs, athletic programs, other districts less. I know this district offered half of the number of programs decades ago that we offer now. I think that's been great progress, but how do we solve this problem? And it isn't just make it the same number because you chose your number for a very good reason. We gotta come up with something that's more sophisticated than just saying it's all one number, take it or leave it.
Well, the other thing, we just so you know, our booster programs are
Obviously struggling with this.
sports programs are responsible for fundraising. So we put out there it's $50 to play. We get 5 kids to pay. Now we got to do more fundraisers to make up the money to cover the cost. So the kids know that. I think Tyler can speak to this as well. We do a lot of email campaigns where that brings in some money. Some people do popcorn sales.
Cookies, you name it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you name it, they do the fundraising, and I think that's where we have to start if the donations are not there. And then some parents, they say, I don't want to fundraise, here's $500, take it, and my kid's not going to fundraise.
Well, and there'll be some that'll say, it's a public education program, I want my kids on this team, my family wants this kid to participate in this program, and we don't have any funds. And I don't know how we say no to that child. Because,
We do not say no to anybody.
Yeah,
And
okay,
then
well,
just to
so you
get-
got the right answer.
Yeah.
We're talking about process here.
Yeah.
So that's, I assume that's exactly where you were. I didn't, impose.
I mean, we used to collect checks at the beginning of the year as a deposit. If you don't turn in your uniform, we don't even do that anymore because it's a free education. So I have one football gear out that's over $1,000 and we're trying to hunt it down, but I can't collect money from him. He's graduating on Friday. And, that's also hard because if a kid leaves with it, now I have to replace $1,000 worth of equipment and find that money somewhere.
And that's not excessive. That's what you need to successfully play the sport. Yeah.
Trustee Mack.
Yeah, a couple things. First, just a clarification question, and then kind of talk about process like Trustee Miller. But the first thing, initial installation of facilities, district expense. Completely agree, of course. But the question is, where do we draw the line on facilities? So obviously, okay, the building and the surface. But what about the field equipment? Obviously, in basketball, the hoops, tennis, the nets. But I don't think it's as thorough as it could be because, for instance, in, let's say, track, who pays for the hurdles? The team, or do we pay for it? The infamous, high jump pit or pole vault pit, more the same. But let's get into some of the sports that I, of course, know really well. Baseball, who's building these cages? Who pays for the nets, the turtle, if you will? I know we pay for the baseballs. I don't think we pay for the bats. Shoot, it keeps on going. The nets for soccer, the nets for lacrosse. I mean, every sport has this. I know I'm missing stuff. My point is that first question, right out the gate, we have controversy. Where do we draw the line? Or do we draw the line? So I think we have a lot of work to do. So that said, that kind of sets up my second point. Obviously I grew up here. I remember playing sports for San Marin High School, and I didn't pay a dime. I played sports for Hill Middle School. I didn't pay a dime. Now obviously things have changed. Prop 13 came along, so did Title IX. So double whammy of just kind of increasing the gap. And I'm of the opinion that free and appropriate education is the way it is. We need to pay for these things. We're getting money from Measure A for these things. I know it's going to arts as well. I really do think that we need to make it a priority in our budget, and I know we have lots of priorities, but we need to make this a priority to make this a non-issue. To make it so that the boosters just pay for the nice-to-haves, like if they want the extra cool jerseys or whatever, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to fielding a team, basically that should be the standard. What does this sport need to field a team, period? That's what they get. And it needs to be adjusted every year because there's something, as we know, called inflation. So I think you knew where I was going to come down on this, but I think that's what we have to do because the equity involved is real, the lack of it, and I'm not pointing fingers. Michelle nailed it. It's just the way it is, and we need to mitigate that by being the institution doing our job to provide the funding for these programs that they're supposed to have. And once again, this is not just fun stuff. This is a classroom. These kids are learning, doing this. They're learning leadership, teamwork, self-confidence, everything you can think of. And as well, as Trustee Miller said, it leads to things beyond high school. But to me, that's the least consideration. For me, it's the 99% of these kids are just there for their school. And that's what we need to support and fund it. So I think fundamentally, we need to fund each of these programs the ability to field a team and not just say, here's your field, good luck, which is what we've been doing ever since my kids were little. And it's very frustrating. So,
go to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to the next slide. So I think it's really important to know what we are spending right now and what money is coming in. So that's the next slide. And then on pages 9 and 10, there's some individual budgets that are showing what the district spends and what parcel tax spends. But if you want to talk about the gate fees, would you like to talk about the gate fees on number 1?
Yeah, sure. Just so you know, for Novato, that we have $19,000 in there. Lucky for me, before COVID, we had a nice hefty budget, and when COVID happened, we didn't use any of it, so we had a lot of carryover. And we've brought that down a lot this year because of buses and some officiating and some other things that we needed. But that is our cushion for anything we need for our kids. However, this is in the ASB budget, so it has to go directly back to the kids. It can't be facility driven. So we can't buy anything for facilities. It has to go to the kids for the equipment.
Yeah, and ours is 13,000. And the reason it's lower than Novato's mainly is because we like to spend it on our ASB as soon as we get it. So that's why it's a little lower.
And security.
And security that we use it up on for sure for all of our football games. To sportsmanship, to sponsorships and to concessions for for San Marin, that number should be 38,000, not 38 whatever what that fake number that's
there's
there.
a zero missing.
And I don't have it broken down quite like Novato does, but the total number is again 38,000. And also our general donations number, which we'll get to in a second, is not that number either, which I'll get to in a sec. But yeah, our boosters, that's our corporate breakdown in our family budget or family input that comes from us, or comes straight to our boosters. So, I don't know. You want to say anything on that?
So Michelle, do you want to say anything about corporate versus families?
What we do is our one major fundraiser through Boosters is our banner program. We ask businesses to pay for a banner or families. And so one is the corporate donors where they paid for banners, whether they're at the football field or in the gym or at the pool. And then the other ones are family banners. You can have one family or up to 6 families do it if they want to save money to make some money for that.
To our concessions, a lot of that is our football games. We bring in a lot of attendance, which we love. But again, when we were told to get this number, this is a very select few number of teams that actually produced any concession numbers. For us, it was football, softball, and track and field gave us this 22,000. But a lot of that was football, obviously. So. I don't know if
Ours is the same. Mostly this is all football related. Our baseball and softball run in very mini kind of a snack bar. They don't have the access to the ovens and barbecues over at the main field. But teams can run it in their season. They just don't have as many fans to pull from, so you're not going to make as much per game.
General donations, our number is actually 63,000, not that big old number you see there. In our boosters meeting last night, they wanted to clarify that, and a mistake was made on my part. So,
well,
yeah.
So if you look at both of ours, the 98 and the 349, that is everything, including each individual sport budget. Where if you're taking the sports out of the picture, his is
63,000 for just the general boosters numbers that they have.
And I think mine was 20 something. I didn't look at it.
Trying to follow what you're saying, and
Yeah.
it's driving me a little bit nuts because you keep saying the number here is wrong, but so I would like a corrected sheet. Thanks.
I think what might help too is going back to Trustee Gasson's question about the breakdown. When you go in to register for both schools, I believe, the parents have the option to donate to boosters, and there's a recommended donation to boosters in general. That's for all students, all sports. Then there's a recommended donation per sport. So you say, I think my student's going to play baseball and swim team, and so I'm going to give $150 for that and $200 for that. And those go directly into team accounts, which is just used for team equipment, activities, scholarships for students, any of those kinds of things. So that's what the breakdown is. So the $63,000 for San Marin is what was donated directly to boosters that is used for all athletics. The rest of that money are many, 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 many teams fundraising that they've done themselves.
I'd have to look at it again, but
Did you say 23?
something like that.
Okay, we'll put those on. Okay, the next one I just want to speak to because we're in the last year of Novato Community Hospital paying for a portion of our trainers. So we had a 3-year grant, and now we're at the end. So that 42,000 and 42,000 for each of the high schools is done as of June. So that is, and their salaries are probably closer to 80 or 90 about that. So we were picking that up as a district, and now we're going to have to pick up the whole thing for each of the high schools. And you could hear how important these positions are. They're critically important. So, yeah.
Is the window of opportunity to get it renewed or find another?
It appears to be that way, but it doesn't mean that the door is completely closed, but that's what it appears to be.
Rental fees?
Rental fees is the big one. So the rental fees go back to the district to pay for things versus going to the schools. So you can see that this was from 2021. We didn't have data from this last year yet. It's not all tabulated. So I found that was kind of surprising.
It's not, because we had baseball and softball at this time, and baseball and softball fields were
And
being
when they
renovated at
didn't have it,
Samron.
They were being, that's what it was.
And I have a pool.
Your projects weren't completed. Or that, yeah, you weren't, because I was looking, I was thinking, what?
All that would include is our football field and anyone who's using our softball.
Yeah, okay.
So you're having conversations over there that I can't hear.
So
So
the
you said that this is
120
only some of the numbers, there's other numbers?
No, what I'm saying, and let me take it just a second.
Okay.
So for 2021, 22, that's the only data we have.
Okay.
The San Marin fields weren't done yet, Ross.
Okay.
So I was wondering why there was such a discrepancy. They weren't done. So we will be getting very soon, this last school year, 22, 23, and that should show a greater balance, so that we can see the rentals. We know the rentals are a ton. We know people are coming on our fields and not renting, they're just coming. And so we have a variety of things that we need to address there. But to have a more accurate accounting, we really need this year's, because San Marin wasn't completed, so how could we possibly have a good
Thank you for
comparison?
clarifying that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's, I mean, what I'm looking for is we start making decisions that are, what are our revenue sources and how are we accounting for them and where does the money flow? So these numbers are wrong, we're gonna get better numbers. They're not wrong, they're just obsolete. I got that. And then at the end of the conversation, we say, but then there's the Nevada high pool income. Is that shown on here somewhere? I keep hearing kind of a casual conversation, and that's not adequate for the kind of decision you're asking us to make. We need revenue numbers that are real. And if Nevada high pool is a source, and it's $3 or 300,000, let's get it on the sheet so we have something to decide with.
Yeah.
I think you're just going to see probably a little uptake on the Novato side, just because we have the pool for rental, and that's rented out almost every other weekend.
So what's the total revenue for the pool?
For the pool, that is a Tony question.
Okay, so how much is the Nevada high pool rental revenue?
That
For a
is
year?
facilities. I don't know how much, it is in this 120,000.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons Novato has so much more also, yeah. But all the questions that you're asking, Ross, are, I think, I don't know what exactly you are all going to direct
neither
us
do
to
I.
do.
Yeah.
But I think if you direct us to put a team together and to answer all of your questions and to get more information, I think there may be some easier things that we can make a decision on that aren't this complex in terms of the budget. There's some other areas about what we can do, but yeah, okay.
Can I have one more question and then I'll stop?
Yeah.
The gate revenue, I understood from my memory, not from any, was revenue that went to the ASB student body and it's theirs to spend as they choose, not to any district program or faculty managed program. So could we get clarification what the legal revenue, where that money has to go? Can we get a definition that says?
It does have to go to ASB. That's exactly where it has to go.
So it becomes the student governance body's decision on how to spend it. They could spend it on a prom or whatever or theater or MSA or athletics, right? It's their choice, not our choice.
It's their choice.
So we need to be asking them what they want to do with this money and not telling them what we want to
Right,
do.
because that's why it's listed there that it goes to ASB and that's, their
Well,
decision.
we're talking like we have choice. And
We
if it's
don't
not
have a
ours to
choice there.
choose, then we need to be clear.
Number one, it's not a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to us. Can I want to try and do something. Yeah. No, there's the recommendations on the sheet, on the cover sheet. There's short-term and long-term priorities.
That we haven't gotten there yet.
We haven't
yeah.
gotten there yet. There's a lot of numbers swirling around. There's a lot of decisions that I don't know that this board can accomplish, and I think of forming a task force, which we've had in the past, an athletic task force, athletic ad hoc committee, whatever you want to call it, because it'll just be for a temporary period of time, to including who's standing right here, plus the booster presidents and some other people that will rally to form a group to come together to really dive into this much deeper, making those decisions of what's going to be paid for and all that stuff. I think we can achieve a couple of these, though. The installation, 1 and 2 on your recommendations here, I think we can achieve that. The equalized student fees, I have a feeling that that can be achieved in the group. Sounds like there's some consensus here, though, with the 2 athletic directors. So I think there's more, and these reciprocal use agreements, we have an overall reciprocal use agreement with the City of Novato that needs to be redone. And then under that is the agreements with the Novato South Little League, Novato North Little League, Babe Ruth. We need to really look at those and rework them if we have to. So there's a lot more here than what we're going to achieve tonight. So that would be my suggestion.
That's a good one.
Okay, so trustee Mack, and then I have 2 comment cards.
So one thing that, the rental fees are here. General question to the ADs who might know best. Are the fields rented out almost as much as they can be? In other words, are the fees too low?
The fees number that is determined by the facilities in our district, I don't know if it's too low, I don't know if it's too high. But in terms of the usage at our fields, we put in on Facilitron what our teams need to use, and then we okay outside users, and sometimes it gets a little crowded in there. And one thing we'll talk about in terms of the short-term and long-term priorities for next year or going forward. One of them is facilitating those outside users, and a lot of that still finds its way to fall on us.
Yeah,
I think a lot
it sure does.
We take calls on Sundays for outside users. For whatever reason, our numbers are on that and not facilities, and they call us to say, "Come open this for us," and that's.
And they do. And
No, I used to be one of those guys. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have heard that the rental fees are not high enough to actually make enough for the district to pay for the needs that we need to replace the things. But I couldn't tell you. I haven't compared to Tam District or Santa Fe District on what they're charging.
I'm not so much asking about comparison, because really it's supply and demand. In other words, if they're booked all the time, tells me the fees are too low.
I can tell you that I have requests every week, and I have, right now, my multi-use field is booked from 4 to 8 every day.
Right. So I just say to the board, let's factor that into our equation as well.
I think that's part of the task force.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
would be my.
And I'm thinking, and I just like to get some direction from the board. I'm thinking that maybe some of the users should be on this task force as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so I have 2 comment cards, and then we'll get to the short-term. Okay. So the 2 comment cards, I have Derek Nell and Ellen Christian Denton. Well, look who it is, Mr. Nell.
You're looking a lot, younger.
Appreciate that. It's good to see you guys. I'm Derek Nell, for those who don't know me, and I had the privilege of reviewing the superintendent's report that you guys are trying to get through, and I basically, in 3 minutes, which is tough for me, I'm sure, but I think it's important to thank the athletic directors and especially the superintendent for bringing this to our attention. It's obviously an area of severe need, and just getting a handle on it has been like the most difficult thing. I didn't get a chance to mention it, but when I opened up the report, saw we actually had resource codes attached to, which are general ledger accounting numbers with the dollar amounts. Was really a good thing to finally see that compared to how we started out with just trying to figure out where we stand. So I'm here to support and recommend that you go ahead with the superintendent's recommendations on these guidelines. Obviously, there's more to do. You have short-term and long-term liabilities, or not liabilities, but goals to get to. So I think you're going to want to have someone serve on that task force. I have some time in my hands.
Okay,
if
good.
you'd be interested. But again, just a lot of emphasis. I know you guys did a lot of work to come up with the information that you did come up with. So I just wanted to stress that in the resource codes. One of the things that we're talking about, as Trustee Millick brought up, the funding, is it accurate, not accurate? And I just can't emphasize enough that we really are going to have to get a handle on where the money comes from, whether it's district funds or if it's booster funds, et cetera. And one of the things that's not in the report that I'm going to recommend is that you guys pull policy 1230, which is school-connected organizations. And basically, FICMAT has a nice long report, but under Education Code 51521, that's our responsibility as a school district, is to understand what our booster clubs and our support entities are doing, and that we have to have active, current engagement with them on a regular basis. And so we don't have that. I checked it. We used to have it back in 2006, but we started going with these gamut policies that come out of CSBA, et cetera, and we lost some of that direct connection with our booster clubs, what we expect from them, what they expect from us. So I'm going to recommend that we pull up what we used to do and modernize that and add that to the process of what we've been talking about tonight. And I think that'll help our relations with the booster club. I know our ADs and our assistant principals will probably talk to our booster members all the time, but I just think that would be a fiduciary responsibility to bring that up to date and to get in better shape there. So, last comment is, why do we have athletics, you guys? It's an interscholastic program. It's for the kids. It's like, if you want cultural competence, citizenship, if you want to educate the whole child, we need to have good athletic programs.
Can you wrap up your comments, please? I just had to say that to him. All right, Ellen, you're next.
Start our clock on herself.
Yeah.
Time herself.
Hello. I just want to let you know that I am the former Novato High School Sports Booster Financial Secretary. So when my students were athletes at Novato High, I was responsible for depositing all the checks and money and running the membership campaign and all that. And I think that when the superintendent, her intentions when asking for item 4 on your in your packet about general donations without memberships, with the total of $98,000 plus for Novato High and $349,000 for San Marin. What that means without membership is that, from my experience at Novato High, as a parent, you could become a $50 donor to be a member. You could be a black and gold donor for $150 and you would get 2 tickets to a football game. You could even be a student donor for $20. That's membership. That's outside of your program donations. And so the $98,000 represents the donations that the parents gave for all of the sports. Because the Sports Boosters organization runs as the treasurer for all of the athletics. So I just want to be clear that these are not inaccurate numbers. It's just how you look at how they're being. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, let's get back to
We
the
miss her, by the
short-term
way.
and long-term. Oh, okay. Ray, you want to say? Yeah.
Okay, first of all, just like to let you know that I was a high school athlete. I was a college athlete. I was an athletic director. I was a coach. I was an assistant principal in charge of athletics for 13 years. I was a high school principal overseeing athletics for 20 years. Well, wait a minute, like 20 and a half years now, the last 5 months. I also was a facilitator for the athletic task force in a neighboring district. And I have to tell you, the things that you're wrestling with are not new. A lot of districts struggle with the same thing. But what I do want to say is you shouldn't kick yourselves. You've done some amazing things here, and I'll tell you just 3 of them. One, The sports facilities in this district are just amazing, and that's because of all of you. You've hired 2 amazing athletic directors,
Yay.
full-time, which is not true in every district. And you can see by the scholarship and awards that our athletes and the achievements they've made that there's a lot of good things going here. Just imagine if you're able to fund everything and do everything, how much better. But it's great now, so just be proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, so here is what we tried to do in putting short-term and long-term priorities together. And I don't know if you want to just give this to the committee to do,
I
or
think
do you
so,
want to?
yeah.
What would you like to do, Deb?
Well, let's just go through them.
Okay.
And then I think it is directed to the committee, though.
Okay, so the first one was really directed by the board, and that's to hire
Yeah,
a facilities
so.
director, and I'm hoping that we
If we
can do
can,
that.
yeah.
You heard about Tyler and Michelle every weekend, every night. They're the go-to people. And that really is not fair to them because they're there so much. And I really think that's an important position to fund. Analyzing the funds and determine equitable distribution of funds is something that we touched on, but you really have to look at the whole package to see what's really needed, because the way I asked Michelle and Tyler to give me the information for each sport was to say, what do we really need? What do we have, and what we can't even run the sport if we don't have this. So those are some kinds of things we should be looking for. District and site-specific facilities upgrades and replacements. So that's the one where we had on the recommendations, what is the district paying, what is the site paying for ongoing costs. The partnerships and organizations, that is just a huge thing in our community. We are the only game in town. Our facilities are the only game in town. We're not like the East Bay or the North Bay, that you can go to all these wonderful sports facilities. We don't have that. And so that's important. The formal agreements with all the users, we only have them for the Little League. We don't, as Debbie said, we don't have the reciprocal use agreement for the city of Novato yet. And we don't have anything with softball. I'm hoping Julie is going to help out with that. And so in some of the older kids' sports, I think that's really important. And that's what we're dealing with at Sinaloa, and the field use and the field upgrades there right now. The district budget for replacement and upkeep of equipment. We need to say what is a reasonable amount that we can do. And what Michelle was describing with she's got $1,000 equipment on a kid that we haven't gotten the equipment back, which means that money has to go out again. So how are we going to address that? So those are some short terms in addition to what they shared in their athletic report that I think is really important. And then the maintenance of the fields and upgrades, I think you heard that it's really nice to have some facility upgrades. The maintenance, field turf right now, so that's good. And then coaches' compensation is always something to look at. We've been hearing about compensation all night tonight, so it's important for us to be looking at all of it.
Let's add the rental fees to the short-term priorities. Reviewing of that.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Trustee Gasson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to go?
That's okay.
I didn't see that. How do you want to account for paying officials and having that go through the district office as opposed to having the sites take care of that?
Yeah, it's a good, I mean.
So should we add that one?
I think it needs to be added to this, to the task force. Yeah. Yeah, short term for sure. Yeah. I would like the task force to come back with what they
Can we
think.
put the trainer issue on there as well, given that
The
Dr.
athletic
Derby
trainer?
Oh, the
said the
trainer?
funding issue is
That's good, Russ.
looking going forward? So can I
Just
add
so
one
much to
more
review.
item that Ellen
Yes.
raised?
Yes.
The clear, precise accounting of these monies is going to be absolutely critical. We need to be able to pass an audit annually, and student funds and some of this stuff I want to make sure that we do a really thorough job, and it's part of this that we set up a strategy to make sure we have these under control. And I don't know what that means, but it just makes me crazy that, I mean, luckily, we haven't been audited for student funds in the last couple of years. It hasn't been a finding, but it has been historically, so I just want to make sure we
Trustee Gasson?
add that.
Trustee Gasson?
Thank you. So I'm going to go back in my memory a little bit. When I was working on some stuff that we had going on at Pleasant Valley. My understanding was we had implemented a new software system or a tracking thing. So when something was reported that needed to be repaired, that there was a system and it would make sure that stuff didn't get lost. Hearing some stuff earlier tonight and hearing some things about the basketball hoops or the kitchen and all these things, I'm just wondering if it would behoove us to have like a policy or a practice of, what's on our radar. I mean, some of these things, unfortunately, we weren't aware of, and just making sure that there's like a checkpoint that, okay, this is being delayed because the manufacturer hasn't gotten the part, which I understand is happening because of, I forgot now what, but, the Rancho playground equipment, the manufacturer keeps delaying the part. But anyway, just so that we make sure that there's a touch point, and I don't know if that's monthly or what's appropriate, but it would seem if we have an automated system, or if that software that was implemented, hopefully it has that ability that it doesn't create a lot of work for someone.
We purchased School Dude for the maintenance department.
Yeah, that's where everything should be tracked.
And there's a tool should be there, Diane. So I think it's a good request. Get some reporting.
Okay, I have another comment card, and then this will be the last comment card for this item. Mariah Fisher.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. I have 2 high school athletes in my family, so I appreciate everything that athletes bring to our community and everything that we're talking about tonight. But I just want to acknowledge what I'm hearing as a special ed parent is a reminder to get those fees for the umpires and for the officials, and don't forget the athletic trainers. And there's a lot of talk here about money for athletics, and I know we need it, but special ed doesn't have a boosters. Okay, we don't have, a lot of times special ed parents kind of are afraid or intimidated and don't come and stand here like I'm standing here. And so I just want to be really mindful that, special ed community needs you to talk about what we need as well, instead of maybe not answering the emails from our psychs and really getting into equity across the district, not just between the 2 school sites and their athletics fields, but also just all of our programs in general. Thank you.
Yes.
Can I just add some thoughts on this?
Okay.
So for number 1, monitoring and supervision, but also really just trying to maximize revenue. So someone needs to be watching the fees, and are they enough, or are they too little, or whatever. So I'm thinking that should be, the revenue side should be added to number 1.
Where are you, Greg? Sorry.
The priorities, in the priorities.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So the facility supervisor.
Yeah.
So not just facilities use and monitoring, but also monitoring fees and how we might want to change them.
The purpose of that position.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going through here. So
Yeah.
number 4, first question I ask is, can we merge number 5 into number 4? They're really kind of the same thing. One's formal agreements, one's talking about defining partnerships. So can number 5 be part of number 4? Just minor thought. And then for number 4, I think it's important that if we're going to go into any agreement or partnership with any particular organization that wants to improve our fields, or like, let's say Babe Ruth, which is the example.
Mm-hmm.
And they are an example of what I want to see, which is they need to represent the whole city, represent all of our kids, and not just decide they just want to work on one field and make it the best field in the county. So they need to commit to the whole community. And then number 6, this goes to what I was talking about earlier. Let's define what equipment is. Equipment's a pretty broad word. Some people will say, some of the stuff I listed is not equipment. Well, I think it's necessary to field a team. I think it's equipment. So that's part of the conversation we need to have. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, do you want direction on any of this stuff right now? Or, yeah, I didn't think so.
I think you directing
Yeah.
us to just put a task force together is the right thing.
Okay, we're going to conclude this topic. Do
Sure,
you have
yes.
a,
It's this topic.
okay,
It's-
one last comment?
This discussion of all the funds we need for athletics ends up being, we're going to send it to a report and get a report back. The other issues in this community that have to do with food service at Loma Verde not being provided and special ed not having the right psychology fundings are general fund questions. When this all gets put together, we need to balance them against other general fund demands. We can't let this be the only thing. I mean, we're talking about it intensely tonight because it's appropriate, but finally it's a balance of a general fund budget. And I want to make sure when we get to the end of this, we do that step.
Yeah, we just couldn't talk about those other things because they're not agendized,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask, do we have a timeline?
Well, we're getting into the summer here. Superintendent Derby stepping down.
Yeah.
So there's
No,
a lot of
I didn't
transition.
mean that it had
We
to
have
be
a
a
new
month, but I'm
it-
just, I find it sometimes it's been more helpful if we
You're
say,
right.
okay, can we I don't even know what that is, but.
The CFO is coming on board, and I would say they would
CFO
lead
needs to
this, this item. So it's a matter of meeting with him and bring him up to speed and then setting the timeline. So at some point this summer, that will happen. And then we'll get back to the board what that looks like. So,
That's good.
okay.
Thank you all for standing here so long and for your input. You're fabulous. Oh, and you have football now. One more. Oh, they have one more item.
Is there a PowerPoint for that?
Yeah, flag football is next up.
We don't have a presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
The report back, we'll work at it in agenda planning, and we'll let the board know. Moving on to item 13B, this is discussion action approval of the girls' flag football in NUSD beginning in the 23-24 school year.
So this past year, CIF passed, I guess, passed girls flag football to become an official NCS sport starting in the fall, which we're really excited about. Both schools did a interest meeting, and honestly, we anticipated maybe 5 to 10 girls would show up. And at that particular meeting, we had about 12. Since then, we've grown to 35 girls, so we're really excited. It does mean, however, that a few of those girls are leaving some fall sports that they did last year to go and do flag football. Regardless, I think those teams will still have enough numbers to compete, and we're not worried about that. But again, we have huge numbers for flag football, brand new sport. We're really excited about it, and we do have our coach eventually. Once it's approved, of course. We have Mo, who's our campus supervisor, and we've talked numerous times about how eager we are to get the team started and maybe some summer workouts to get the girls playing, because a lot of them have never played before, but they're eager to play. And yeah, we're really excited to have it on board.
And I think in your report, it says to start the program, excuse me, is $10,000. Lucky for us, I think it's the 49ers.
Yeah.
The 49ers have offered to donate uniforms for any program that is going to start a girls' flag football team in the fall, so.
Yeah.
Oh. And
So
how
that
many-
you can
How
take
many
that.
kids did you have
Yeah,
come out?
Nike.
I have about 12 right now.
You have 12. Okay.
And it's a 7-on-7 team, so that's.
Oh, 7 on
Yeah.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, board, trustee Lametta?
So the $10,000 is for both schools, correct? It's for each.
Yeah.
So is it $10,000 for just San Marin?
Originally, it was going to be for each school because of the uniforms and the equipment. But then when we were talking, we could use the equipment that we use for football, the markers for the fields, and everything we use. And then the uniforms are being donated, so it will be much less than that. It'll be probably closer to 4.
Yeah,
Each
somewhere
school.
around there. Honestly, it's
Four.
really when it comes down to it, it's really the flags and maybe the cleats or the, yeah.
Okay. But for both schools, right? We're having a
sure.
program for
That's a
both
total.
schools. Okay, perfect. My second question is, how many programs are in the county for for girls?
So with if both of our schools do have a team in the fall, we'll be 2 of the 3 MCAL teams that have a team next year. There are a ton apparently in the East Bay and in the city that we would compete with. We had an AD meeting yesterday, and a lot of what we talked about was, how are the games going to be played and in what setting, and, are they going to be are we going to interfere with football games, stuff like that. And the way that it was broken down to me at one point was that, you know, since there's so few teams in our league or within MCAL, we can reach out to the other schools and we do sort of a jamboree type all-day event where you play 3 or 4 games in a day, and then you at a school site that does have a team, and then you go the next week to another school that has that site, and they would host an all-day event kind of thing, or we would host another thing when football's away or something like that. So we're excited to not only have a full team, but also have enough games to make it worth the while, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Trustee Mack? No, and then Trustee Millerick.
Okay.
Trustee Mack.
What's transportation costs affiliated with this, you think, for a season?
Well, it depends. I mean, most of my teams, other than football, travels with parent carpools.
Yeah.
And so we would continue to do that with girls flag football for us, because it's a small team. I assume that you would
Yeah,
probably
it's
do
the same for us. The only reason football takes buses is really the equipment, right? For flag football, you don't have to necessarily worry about that. So it would be the same thing, have parents drive them to and from.
So without equipment, do you play with a helmet on?
No.
It's not, okay, so you don't have the concussion issues that you're testing equipment bulk. Okay.
Think of it like girls lacrosse. You can't touch them other than their flags. You can't tackle or
Oh, okay, so it's non-contact?
non-contact.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Coach Mo. I had the pleasure of Coach Mo working in Pop Warner, and that was a very good coach, so you're lucky to have her. But I highly encourage this. I wholeheartedly encourage this. I think it's a Title IX issue, rightly so. And frankly, I think it's the future, what we're going to see on the boys' side in about 20 years, or when I'm dead. I don't know. It's just, but it's just the way. Yeah. Anyway, but in terms, I just want to bring up the concussion issue. So really, one thing to be clear on is concussions aren't just with football helmets. They're in all sports. And I would say this, the risk of concussion in flag football is just as high as soccer or really any other field sport, because when a player goes down and they get that head tap, that is a concussion. So,
thank you.
But to your point, your real question, equipment, we're just talking about a pair of shorts and cleats and a belt with the flags on it and a jersey. That's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And I wanted to mention one more point too about just flag football in general, and we talked about field usage and field space that, you know, our schools are limited on, obviously with the outside users. I want to shout out our football coach, Dom Damari, who was one of the big proponents for including flag football as another sport for our school. And I told him, like, you know, you have all this success, you're going to lose some field space in the fall. He goes, no, not at all. We're going to share the space. We have no issues with that. You know, like, they get 50 yards, we get 50 yards, and now we have our upper field. So obviously, in terms of our own athletics, we're not concerned at all about, you know, the field space that flag football will need. So we're excited about that as well. So.
All right, I'm not hearing anybody against this in any way, so this is
So
an action
I'll move
item.
to approve.
Thank you. A first by Trustee Mack and a second by Trustee Jacobson. All those in favor? 7-0. All right, great.
Thank you for putting up with us all.
Yeah, that was, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
a long stretch.
All right, we're going to move into our staff report, one staff report, and then back into discussion action. The staff report is 14A. This is the School Services of California Classified Compensation Study.
All right. Thank you for having me back here. It's my pleasure to introduce Brianna Garcia. She is with School Services of California. She's going to be presenting this evening an overview of the compensation study that we contracted with School Services of California to perform for us, comparing our classified positions in our district and their rate of pay with a number of districts here in our neighboring area. And without ado, here's Brianna.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent, board president, and board members. Happy to be here this evening. As Franny noted, the Novato Unified School District asked school services to do a compensation study for your classified non-management bargaining units for certain positions. And so I'm just here to share with you with the results of that. I believe you have the full report has been shared with you, and so I'll be giving you just a kind of brief overview and highlights of the report, and then I'll be able to answer any other questions that you might have when I'm done. So as I said, the district asked us to complete a compensation study. We are impartial third party, so we want to make sure that that's clear and that we have no skin in the game with regards to, how the district might rank in those studies. What we looked at was classified non-management, and so we looked at hourly rates. We did that both at the beginning and the maximum salary, and I'll explain a little bit how that maximum salary or that maximum hourly rate works when I get to that slide. We compared with other districts that were either within your geographic area or similar characteristics. Sometimes we like a combination of those because for the geographic area, these are the districts that you're competing with for staff. But also similar characteristics because depending on your revenues, the types of students that you're serving, there are differences in the amount and how staff is paid than there might be at another district that might be nearby but is completely different with regards to the characteristics of the district, and so we like to look at both of those. We looked at job descriptions that were provided by the district as well as those comparative districts in order to make these comparisons. And so that's why you'll see that we don't always have a comparative at another district because it's not simply by title that we go by. We actually do look at the job descriptions to see what the core duties are, what the educational requirements are to ensure that they are comparable with what the staff is doing at your district as well. And as I noted, the review looked at both the beginning salary or hourly rate as well as the maximum hourly rate because it's important just to understand what that range is. You see some districts that have high compensation maybe at the beginning, and the longer that staff is here, it starts to get a little bit lower, so that retention is a little more difficult. And you see districts at the opposite where it's harder to get staff in, but the longer they're here, that rate increases. And so we do like to look at both of those in order to provide you with that comparison. So these are the 5 comparative districts that were part of the study. We sent out requests, so this information that we're asking for is voluntary. As part of our carrot to get them to provide, we do share just some basic information with them so that they have a little bit of skin in the game. And so with that voluntary, we received these 5 districts that agreed to participate. You'll note I'm saying 5. San Rafael City Schools is a combination. They have an elementary school district and a high school district, but for their classified non-management, they're all on one salary schedule. And so we have both the districts listed here so that you can see what their average daily attendance is and what their unduplicated pupil percentage is. But when you look through the report, you're only going to see the San Rafael City Schools as one district as a whole. And so you can see you have 2 other districts that are within Marin County, as well as a few that were in Sonoma, which is your neighboring county. So when we look at the maximum salary, we want to be comparing apples to apples. As you can imagine, if you have a salary schedule, as with Novato, that before longevity is provided, the highest step you have on your salary schedule is step 6. And you have another district like San Rafael City Schools that the highest step they have before you get to longevity is step 13. Comparing salaries for an employee that's been here for 6 years compared to an employee that's been working for a district potentially for 13 years isn't really comparing apples to apples. It's going to show, more than likely, that they're getting paid more at 13 years and showing that you're at the bottom of a list when you're really comparing that 7-year difference is not something that we think is an accurate comparison. And so what we did was actually cap the maximum salary that we utilized so that we were looking at a consistent year. For most of the districts and for the salary schedules, as you'll note, most of them do cap out at 6 years before longevity is provided, but we had a couple San Rafael City Schools and Petaluma City Schools that went a little bit higher, and so we have made that note that we kept all of them at 6 years so that we are matching what the district is offering and making that comparison that way. So this slide just provides you and the audience with an example of what the tables look like that are included within the report. So for each job classification that we've reviewed, it includes one of these tables, which provides you with the districts that were used as a comparison, the name of the job classification, both at the district and what a similar job is at the other district. And so while the titles might be different, as I noted, we did compare the actual job descriptions to make sure that there are comparable positions. You'll have a column for the beginning hourly rate that's listed for each one of them. That next column says beginning hourly rate variance, and that tells you the difference between the district and the hourly rate of the comparative district. So for example, Novato for this job classification is paying $18.68, while Santa Rosa City Schools is paying $16.97. So that's a 9.2% difference between what Santa Rosa City Schools is paying and what Novato is paying. And so each one of those is back referring to Novato. So the very last one listed is San Rafael City Schools. That 13.2% is the difference between San Rafael and Novato, not the district that's listed right above it. And so that provides you with just a quick glance to see what that differentiation is between those. And then we also rank that hourly rate so that you can see where the district ranks with regards to the beginning hourly rate. Then we do those same three things at the maximum hourly rate, provide you what the rate is, what that variance is between the district and the comparative district, and what that ranking is. So staff was asked to, or SSC staff, school services, was asked to analyze 61 job classifications. In some instances, we found that the district has some very specific and specialized job classifications that we could not find at other school districts. And so there are 11 job classifications for which we weren't able to make a comparison because we couldn't find that match. It's possible that there's somebody at that other district that is doing some of those duties, but we weren't able to identify them as an individual job classification or find those duties necessarily in another job classification. And so there was no comparison for those. There's another 11 job classifications that we were able to find one other district that had a similar job classification. And so while the report includes tables for all of those, when we provided our overview with regards to how many job classifications were above or below the median, those weren't included on there because providing a median that's just you and one other district really for us is a little bit nonsensical. It's not giving you any real good information. I will note that for those job classifications where there was only one other comparable, in all of those instances, the district's salary or hourly rate is higher, both at beginning and maximum salary, than for the other district that was found as a comparison. So of the 39 job classifications that we did look at, the district ranks either at or above the median hourly rate for about 90% of those job classifications. So at both beginning and maximum salary. So for the classified non-management group, it seems that the district is well positioned with regards to hourly rate and what it's compensating those employees. So this slide just provides you with the overview of what we found for the beginning hourly rates. For the 39 job classifications that we reviewed, the district is above the median for 35 of them, so almost 90% of those job classifications. 3 of them are at the median, and there's only one that was below the median hourly rate at the beginning salary, and that job classification was about 8% difference between where the district was and where the comparative districts were. And for 29 of those 39 job classifications, the district is ranking first and offers the highest salary to its employees. At the maximum hourly rate, you find a relatively the same situation of those 39 job classifications. The district is ranking above the median hourly rate for 34 of those job classifications, so about 87%. There are 3 that are at the median and 2 that are below the median. And for those 2 that are below the median, one is the same one with regards to the beginning hourly rate, so it's about an 8% differential. For the other one, I believe it was 0.1 or less than 1% difference between where the district was and where that job classification was that was below the hourly rate. And so in this instance, the district ranked first again in 29 out of the 39 job classifications for which we had a median. It ranked number 1 in those positions. And so really, as the district is looking to evaluate its compensation for its employees, again, in the non-classified, non-classified non-management, in the not classified non-management group, we really, urge all districts as we're talking to them that they look at these things through a recruitment and retention lens. Are you having problems recruiting employees in order to take these positions? And are you able to maintain these employees, or are they moving on to other districts because they're receiving higher pay or other benefits? And while we focused on the salary, we really do think that it's important to look at total compensation so that you're looking at not only the salary that's being offered, but your health and welfare benefits and your working conditions, because that really is a total package. There are districts that in the past have negotiated agreements with their bargaining units and have agreed to put less in health and welfare benefits because they want higher salaries, and others that forego the higher salaries because they want higher caps or higher contributions to their health and welfare benefits, or smaller class sizes. There's other things to consider. And so we do urge you that while it is important to look at salaries, that shouldn't be the full picture when you're considering whether or not changes have to be made. If the district does find that it's having difficulty in attracting or retaining staff, given that the salaries that we're seeing or the hourly rates that we're seeing at both beginning and maximum, the district at a whole is at or above the median for almost 98% of the classifications that we look at. We really do recommend that you consider focusing on those other elements of total compensation, that it might not be salary that you need to increase potentially if you're not able to recruit or retain staff, that it might be those other elements. And so again, just encouraging you to look at total compensation when they have these conversations and not simply the salary when you're doing that. There were the 2 job classifications that ranked below the median, and so those might require a little bit more attention or some focused attention, given that all of the other positions are at or above, and you have those 2 that appear to be outliers based on the information that we were able to gather for you. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions for you that you might have.
Trustee Miller.
Just in terms of the comparability of this data, I know, I think it's the PERS system that we're part of. There's a significant cost to the district to fund the PERS contributions. For every one of these that you studied, they're in a comparable situation, right? That's a state set standard. Everybody contributes the same percentage. Is that a correct statement?
Correct. All school districts that have classified employees, they all belong to CalPERS, which is the California, and now I'm going to forget what it stands for Public Employees Retirement System.
Yeah.
And so all school districts are paying that same rate.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Trustee Jacobson?
Thank you for the super comprehensive report. It's really great to look at all the different facets. Sort of off topic, but sort of not. I think employee workforce housing that we've been looking at is a type of benefit that we could add or have available to our employees that might be useful in the future.
Great point. Anybody else? All right. This is a staff report, so thank you very much for
You're
taking the
welcome.
time out to come and present to us.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming down to present in person.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Is that for this? No, okay. Okay.
I forgot. So was this with the were the numbers including the recent increase?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back into discussion action. This is item 15A, review and approval of the timeline and process for development of the Novato Unified School District Facilities Utilization Plan for potential relocation for the Novato Charter School.
Here. And Melissa, are you still here? I know she had to go home, take care of her dog. She had to give it a shot. Yeah, she's gone. Okay, and just while John's coming up here, Melissa wrote us a note that said, Loma Verde got a brand-new HVAC system in 2019. The multi-purpose rooms and the gyms are not part of the HVAC for any of our schools. And so maybe what the person that spoke to us, public comment, was referring to the fans in the kitchen. I'm assuming that. So but that was good information for us. And working directly, he will be working directly, and Todd will be working directly with the Novato Charter School on what are the repairs that are going to be done this summer, the short-term, long-term, reviewing the list that, Nikki, who developed that with you?
Craig Allender, my
Oh,
board chair.
okay, great, yeah.
Megan, our administrative manager.
Okay, and so they're going to be looking at that and trying to prioritize. So we took those two things off of the agenda for tonight, and all we're looking at is facilities use, because whether you're going to upgrade where the charter school is right now, or you're going to look at our facilities to see where we have space, we can't do any of that until we have information. And so what Todd and John put together is a timeline that was requested by the board about what are some possible facilities use planning and information can be put together so that you can see what we have available in our district. And so that could help you make better decisions about exactly the direction you'd like to take. So that's why we separated them out, because this is the main thing that you asked us for, was the timeline, while simultaneously the work with Nikki and her team will continue about upgrades. There's some immediate upgrades that need to happen right now, because if they don't, the rain's coming through the roof.
Okay, just for clarification, the large topic that we had at the last meeting was the charter school has to be able to open at the beginning of the school year.
Right.
And what you just said is, that's not the topic we're discussing now. That topic is being held in direct context between the charter school team and our staff, because we just don't have enough information to make a decision. So it wasn't timely for tonight. I assume it will be timely at some point in the future, but
It needs to be timely right away, and John may be able to speak to that, because there's some things that have to be done right now before school starts again in August.
right, that's my
And that's
concern
the
is you
collaboration
can't
that
have
we're gonna
kids
do. Then the longer term,
in teepees.
yeah, will be the priorities.
So, yeah, we identified the IT upgrades at the portables as well as the roofing as two of the major issues that are going to be required for them to have school coming.
You're going to have that conversation, right, with them?
Correct.
Okay.
And we've had some conversations with them. We have a meeting tomorrow afternoon to review some of the IT. We were out there on Friday to review the existing conditions. And then I have some roofers scheduled to meet with me on Thursday out on the site. And there will be subsequent conversations with Nikki and her team.
One more comment. So thank you very much for that clarification. The topic of this schedule is called, the heading, and maybe it's a misleading heading, it says, plan for potential relocation of the Nevada Charter School. And what I understand we were going to get was an analysis of all of our facilities that may eventually include relocation, but what we needed was just the foundational data. Is that what you're proposing?
All we want to talk about tonight
Okay, good.
is a facilities use plan
Okay.
timeline, to see if you like the timeline. It's a 2-year timeline, and to take a look at all the components, and if you want to add something else to it, that would be fine as well. But I think when Todd and John and the team all got together, they said we had too short, I had done too short a timeline, of course.
Yeah,
I
of
totally
course.
understood that. But I think what's really important is that we take the initiative to do what's needed right now, so school opens safely and there aren't the issues that John it was just describing with IT or the roofing. Those are the two that will be done, I'm assuming July and August or before.
The idea is to get those done this summer before school,
Right.
yes.
And then the longer-term prioritization that you saw a list of, that you saw last time, is that, but right now, all we're talking about is the facilities use plan.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to fit this into the overall framework of the work that's going on. Thank you for the clarification. And
And
I'll shut up.
we'll continue to discuss those additional items that were on that list. We just identified those two as being what needs to happen like right away. So, and then it's also important to note that with this timeline, this is for potential relocation. It may be that their current location is the right location, so that's
Exactly.
not getting ruled out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with the title, you mean?
It says
Yeah.
potential relocation.
Yeah.
Like,
We could have stopped at the word plan, I think, is what
Yeah,
he's trying to say.
We probably should have done that.
Got it. So yeah, we outlined, you have there 14 steps to occupancy for either a new facility or an upgraded facility. The first step would be we'd need to go out for an RFP for an architect and a demographer. Looking at that as a 2-month process from approval, hopefully tonight. We need to figure out which sites have that capacity, and we'll need to get a demographer to study both the current birth rates as well as kind of the local plan developments within the area. So the demographer will help us with that. The second step would be a 1-month process. We'd prepare a program outline for the charter school. We'd work with the charter to determine their exact needs and then what the needs of the program are initially. Third step would be a 3-month process in which we complete the demographic study. So for the district and the charter school, we need to make sure that we understand the program needs and the space requirements. So we'll need to assess the information both for now as well as in 10 plus years, because the district's already identified that the charter school is something that they're happy with and they want to see for the future. So that long-term outlook is really important to keep in mind as one of our goals. Once that happens, and this will happen at the same time, we'll confirm some of those space requirements that they have, look at current enrollment, look at what their potential future enrollment looks like. Then we'll take a 1-month process to identify the top 3 sites. And following that, we'll study the reconfiguration for the work required to make each of those sites viable for the charter school. That's another 1-month process. So once the sites are narrowed down, we'll look at the accommodations and kind of what those logistics look like. Again, we'll understand the program that we're accommodating and then know the limitations for each of those sites. Once that happens, we'll be able to prepare some concept drawings as well as a budget and schedule. That's a couple-month process there. That'd be items 7 and 8. And then do that for 2 to 3 of the sites, depending on what that fit looks like it is. We'll prepare a matrix for that final site selection and be bringing that back to the board, given a 2-month process for that. Assume that there will be some discussion and some direction to further clarify some of that information. We'll get the architect on board and then hit the ground running with CDE and DSA approvals, hopefully doing a bidding and construction process for about 6 months. So that gets us to project occupancy of fall of 2025. The idea would be for them to move in over the summer of 25.
Trustee Jacobson? And then Trustee Mack.
Which of these steps is assessing all of our current sites for all of their usage and needs? If those are the right words.
So that'll be steps, it'll be 3 and 4, basically, as well as number 5. So that's going to be kind of an evolving process through the whole thing, where we're going to go back and forth a little bit in terms of seeing what each of the sites has to offer, what the pluses and minuses are. And then
So
we'll bring that in that matrix that we bring to you.
I
kind of a
just want to make
side-by-side.
sure that we have 2 things happening here simultaneously. One is that we need to know what all of our sites are doing currently for a myriad of reasons, not just this. And then also, if we happen to see from that there would be a perfect location for the charter school and they're really happy with that, that might work out. But I think our greater goal is knowing what all of our facilities are doing currently.
And we'll be able to touch on that with the demographic study.
Touch on?
Well, we're
Fully outline, you mean?
if we do a full outline of that, it's going to be a bit of a longer process, and that could expand it another 6 months or so.
So I heard in our last meeting that this board wanted to know what all of our site facilities were.
Yes.
Also, we wanted to know what kind of timeline would it take to do this? So which of those paths are we pursuing currently?
So this is a path to pursue the charter school, but we could add on to this path to keep going to do a full assessment of the entire district.
That's what they directed us to do.
This particular path, though, is to get the charter school into a facility by fall of 2025.
Okay. Hold on, we have trustee Mack.
And
then
let
I have
me
trustee Lemetta.
let me clarify a little bit, maybe, and it might help. What my understanding is once we get through step 4, we're going to have a facility's usage understanding, because we're going to have the demographer do their thing. We're going to do the study. We're going to confirm space requirements. At that point, and now we're looking at the entire district through step 4, correct?
You're looking at the entire district through step 4.
Yeah.
There may be additional.
Just making sure.
Yeah, correct.
Just, I thought so. I just want to just say that out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so through that exercise, we're going to know utilization on all sites. So I think we're achieving that, right? Achieving the facility's usage through step 4, which is for the entire district. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I hear what you're saying is the remainder is then kind of, okay, now we know that. Now let's move forward with how we're going to figure out what to do with NCS and where they might want to be. So, okay. My question is, the way I'm reading this, basically the board is kind of like just watching this all unfold until what appears to be, May of 2024. And not that I don't trust that you guys will do it, but I would definitely like to give staff instruction to make sure we have some form of check-ins with milestones, so that ideally, well, let's say this. I would say at a minimum, month 4, 6 months from now, so that would be, we're talking December, right? December report that we see the results of that report, of the utilization report, before you start talking about top 3 sites and all that kind of stuff, at a minimum. If
Something
not,
come back to the board is what you're asking?
yes,
Yeah, the
come back to the board
Yeah.
in December at a minimum. I'd really like to see something in September just to know what's going on. But I don't know if there's really much you could report then at that point. You're kind of in the middle of everything.
I think September's a little quick. The December timeline seems doable.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then, and then from there, we're talking about, step 10, which, times out to May, June of 2024. I don't know if there's a logical spot for us to insert ourselves between December and May, but I would like to, because once again, I just feel like, I'm taking to heart what we heard at the last meeting, that, we talk about things and we don't follow through. And I just want to make sure we are held accountable and we're coming back and talking about these things. So if there's a logical spot somewhere in there, but at a minimum, December of 23, May of 24, maybe with something in between is what I'm looking for. And then, of course, there's past May of 24.
And we can go through and I'll put some milestones in here.
Yeah,
for,
markers,
for-
yeah.
Perfect.
And then we'll come back to you guys and.
That'd be great.
Yep.
That would be perfect.
Yep.
Trustee Lemetta and then trustee Gasson.
I'd like to go back to Trustee Jacobson's comment. I want to make sure that this is actually like a facility plan, not just for like possible land use for the charter school in general. in a year or 2 years, we can at least refer back to like, this is what it is, instead of just land use for our charter school. So I just want to make sure that that is cleared. Because you were going back and making comments that, oh, well, it's going to take longer if we have the actual land use plan.
So that was going to be my comment. I think I'm listening, and I think the disconnect here is that what you're doing is you're getting all the data to figure out what our needs are. And when you say confirm space requirements, like in 10 years, what's our county or our town going to look like? How many rooms or students are we going to need to support? I think what the board is indirectly asking is, that's great, but we want to know, is San Ramon full, is PV full? Like, what's the capacity for each of those schools? So that's the component I think is maybe missed, and I don't understand. I understand that's extra time, but I'm wondering if that could happen in correlation, like we get to this point and we can be working, and then we can further define all those sites when the end that we understand this site can have 450 kids, this site, I mean, whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct. We could.
I just don't want to come back to this and spend more money because we're taking shortcuts.
Correct. And this is not a shortcut, so we could come back with a total facility plan with the demographics. The demographics may extend, it won't extend. I don't foresee that extending the construction of the charter school. Is that, am I answering your question?
Doesn't push it down the line.
Push it down the
Yeah,
line.
'cause
There
we
may be
need to
additional
keep that
demographics that
at
need
the
to be
forefront.
done. Exactly.
Okay. But then we also don't want half a plan. We
Nope.
want a full.
Nope.
Yeah, we
I
want a
understand.
document that doesn't sit on the shelf, you
Yep.
know?
You want something you can use for the future.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Trustee Miller was next.
I think you guys all just said the same thing I was going to say. This is a strategic plan for the district, and when you said touch on the issues, that another poor choice of words. We need a plan that gives us the foundation to move forward. And when you look at this board, I'm old. I've sat through these master plans before. They're very valuable. Most of the people sitting at this table have not had that opportunity. So we need to do that foundational document. It will be a long-term valuable asset for this district as they go forward. So it's not extra work. It's work we need to be doing. And so everybody else said it better than me, actually.
Trustee Jacobson?
Can I just add that if there's anything that you need from us leading up to and in the summer to get the goals met for the charter school so that they're ready at the beginning of school, we will make ourselves available for that.
Okay. For
Please
approval
don't
of
feel
anything.
encumbered
Yeah.
by board meeting dates. Like,
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for bringing that up. Yeah, okay. Can I do some comment cards, John, and then we'll come back to the board, unless you had other additional?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I have 5 comment cards. The first 2 speakers will be Michelle Greer, and Mel Hall will be the second speaker. And you have 3 minutes, and just come up to the mic right here. Yeah. And the 3 minutes is right to your left.
Can I ask a question before you start the timer? Do you have time for all the speakers, and is there opportunity for questions, or do I have to ask the questions in my 3 minutes?
We don't necessarily, you can ask the questions. We don't dialogue back and forth a whole lot. I mean, this is a topic on the agenda, so just fit it into your 3 minutes, and let's
Okay.
see how we do.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. Good evening. Hi. My name's Michelle Greer. I am a Novato resident. I'm also very active in the community here. I recognize a few faces here from my time working on the Not in Our Town screening. I was part of the group that spearheaded that effort here and put all of the signs in the windows that you see, that Novato is against hate, and lovely stuff that we did there to have a screening here in town. I also pay my taxes regularly, but most importantly, I'm a parent of 4 children at the Novato Charter School. Well, soon to be. I have an 8th grader who's starting in 8th grade next year, so I've been at the school 8 years. I have a kindergartner who's about to start, so in total, I've been there 16 years by the time all of my children have gone through. So yes, any talk of the Novato Charter does hit a bit of a nerve. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. And I think you can see there's probably about 10 other parents here. And just so you know, we just learned of this topic today. So you can imagine if 10 parents were able to rally and leave their families within 12 hours notice how important this is to all of us. Certainly we are Also, I just want to say thank you for all the great things you do, not only for the charter school, but for all of the schools on campus. Yay, girls flag football, all of that. We all enjoy all the campuses, lacrosse, all of it. So thank you. Just wanted to say that very interested in the study to relocate. Obviously, our interest and request is that you please include us in this decision at every step along the way, especially Nikki and Craig and our other board members. We have full trust in them, and this is obviously very important to us. Many of us have spent not only our tax dollars, but also many, many hours working on the campus, beautifying it. I can tell you personally, my husband welds railings, we garden. We love, love, love our school. It feels like a home to us. And, you know, so decision to move your home is a very big deal, and so we appreciate your due diligence. Please look closely at the timeline. I'm also a professional. I spent almost 3 decades in project management, and I can say that the timeline feels a bit aggressive, especially when you're thinking about comparative across the district and what's available. And I would just ask that you treat our school equitably, and that you really take a hard look at how to move forward with a relocation decision or facility upgrade decision. Please don't speed through that. Really important. We have so much magic and wonder at our school, and you know, this could very much alter that depending on what course of action you choose. 14 seconds. Grass is greener where you water it. Someone said that at my wedding. We've spent a lot of time watering the grass in Novato Charter School, so please keep that in mind with whatever you decide. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
That was nice, Michelle. Hi, my name is Mel. I have 2 boys at Novato Charter School. I have been a taxpayer and voted on every school measure G that you could imagine for 23 years. And so it's really important to me that my tax dollars and other people's tax dollars are very equitable throughout all of our community. I feel that my children deserve what other schools are allotted. I do know that you were giving us a $1.3 million to fix the facilities. Our community, we've put a lot into our campus. As Michelle said, we spend so much time. This summer, we just sent something out where all the parents are going to garden. We're going to take care of the chickens. We don't rely on the staff to do that. We do that as a community, and we would like to keep that. And so the most important thing for myself and for my children is that we don't disrupt what we have at the charter school. It was mentioned that you might potentially go to a different campus. I don't know if you're going to combine those campuses, but I think combining the campus would really disrupt what the Waldorf magic has. And so I really hope that you can consider when or if you have to move us, if we cannot come up with an alternative, that it doesn't disrupt the children and the rhythm of what we do and how magical that we are. Because Novato Charter School is something that is of no other. As you know, in Marin County, we are very well known. And we have a wait list, and there's a lot of parents that want to get in. And so I just thank you for your time. I know this is going to take a lot of your time, but when you do look at your timeline, as Michelle said, please do not rush through it. These are our children and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. The following 3 speakers is Kira Kerpet, Craig Allender, and Nikki Lloyd. And that'll conclude the speakers.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us an opportunity to speak. I was here last board meeting. I brought my son to show him the importance of speaking up and being a part of the community. A lot of love has gone into, the charter school, and we love our campus. I just this year took on the volunteer coordinator position. There's a lot of helping hands that make everything possible. And that's something that I know my 3rd grader today, there was a farmer's market. They learned math skills about bartering. They took things from the garden. I know every Tuesday they have a cooking class, and they're learning about different measurements. They take the eggs from the hens in the chicken coop, and they use that as part of their kind of weekly magic within the classroom. So I know he benefits greatly from that.
the garden, and then my kindergartner, every morning, the 2 kindergartens, we have a morning circle, 15 minutes, we sing songs, we're all part of a larger community. So the idea of moving sites, again, just making sure that Nikki and Craig are part of that all along the way is very important to me as a parent. We had gone to our neighborhood school. It was too large for us. We were looking at going private because we just needed to find that smaller school community. We got lucky, literally got into the charter school in 1st grade for my older son, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again.
Better though, better.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Superintendent Derby. So Craig Allender, I spoke with you last time. I've been on the Novato Charter Board for 5 years, currently serving as the board chair. When I joined the board, my focus was on facilities. That's all I really cared about. In so doing, I read our MOU. I read our facilities use agreement. In that document, it actually does not allow the charter school to be moved by any entity. That's written in there. That's an important piece of information. It also doesn't seem that co-locating our campus, as has already been said, would really be a viable approach for our school or for the district. And so really, we had just asked that charter school leadership be given the opportunity to work directly with the district, with the board, if at all possible, to come to a better solution. As I mentioned in my last meeting, in my professional life, I am involved in design and repair of building enclosures, roofs, walls, windows, things of that sort. I'm confident that we can implement repairs that will prolong the life of our buildings and therefore the usability of our current C Street site. I've poured my own sweat, as have many of our own parents here that are here today, into helping maintain and improve our current site. And I've also poured countless hours into expanding our current on-site operations and functionality. To reiterate and state plainly, neither this board nor the NUSD administration has the authority to move the Novato Charter School. We have created a facility and maintenance priority plan, which would allow us to have a safe and functional space for us to be able to continue at our current site. We're of course open to discussion, conversation about paths forward that are fair, equitable, agreeable, and of course financially responsible. So I ask that this board strongly consider rejecting the proposal from the administration due to the language regarding the potential relocation of Novato Charter School. Also further considering the authorizing the use of additional Measure G funds to implement those repairs and improvements that we've identified thus far for our school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm Nikki Lloyd, the Administrative Officer of the Novato Charter School. And I want to start by thanking you for your thoughtful discussion on May 23rd. I appreciated that, and I appreciate the time you're taking to be both financially responsible and prudent and look at what's best for the schools. I do think that we're combining topics here. So on the one hand, there's a real need to look at what's going on in all of the different schools in Novato. And I know that that information may lead to some decisions and some conversations with the charter school, but it feels like in this timeline that those are mixed. And that it doesn't feel clean to me. So I guess my request would be, could we separate that out and have a real look at the different campuses and what's sort of an audit of them, if you will, and at the same time be looking at the charter school and what would work well with them, but not combine it into a timeline that talks about looking at all the campuses and about relocating the charter school. So that's one request I have. The other is a little bit about Nikki Lloyd. I do not do well when I'm surprised. So on May 23rd, I was really surprised that the majority of the conversation was about potentially relocating the charter school. I thought we were talking about a number that would go from Measure G bond that would go towards the charter school. And instead, again, at a very good conversation, but it was primarily about moving the charter school. And that's when I start getting phone calls and emails from parents who said, we were watching from home. Why didn't you tell us about this? So, and then additionally, I was surprised yesterday morning when I was reviewing tonight's agenda and saw that, what was the title? Didn't stop at plan, but continued and relocation of the charter school. And again, I started getting emails from parents about, that seemed to be going fast. So I'm really looking forward to my first meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. With Greystone. But I guess my ask is, please don't surprise me. Nikki doesn't do well. Please bring us, I love, some of you said yesterday, bring us and give us a seat at the table. This is what I've been asking for since 2016. So please bring us in. I'm happy. I stop by the district often to chat with Jan or Leslie, whoever's available. But bring us in. I'm happy to talk about it. We're happy to look at what's best for the whole Novato community. So let's sit down and chat and have a conversation about this and work it out. I'm available, happy to do that, and I'm looking forward to our first meeting tomorrow. So, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gasson?
So thank you. This is, I know sort of it's more for the plan, but since we're being addressed by the school committee, I wanted to acknowledge, and I think I even said it at the prior meeting, when I went to the campus, it's beautiful, and it feels like a home, and I can completely understand that, hearing that we are looking at relocating, and I will say I'm only speaking for myself here. I can appreciate that must have been a surprise. I think to just give a little perspective from where I came from on that conversation was that I have a background in construction. I lived in homes for a few years, and then we would move because my dad would always build our homes. By the time we went from having sheetrock and actually got carpeting on the floor, I knew that we would be moving soon. So I have grown up understanding, when there's dry rot and there's things. And so when I did tour the facility, I was very impressed by what you had done and the repairs that were made and the things that it looked nice. But I could tell, like when I was in the restrooms or when I started looking at the site, I guess maybe it's not siding, but when I started looking around, I recognized that things needed to be fixed. And then when we had the conversation that it's, the life use of those buildings is pretty much gone, adding stuff onto them just didn't make logical sense. So I think we went from there to a conversation of, let's take a look at everything, and it got pulled in, your site got pulled into a conversation about evaluating each of our sites because of the fact that we need to just take a step back and look at stuff globally. And it wasn't a disrespect to say we're going to do this without, but what do we have to offer so we can look at the big picture? What space do we have? How do we make this work? Because even if the things, if Novato Charter was to stay there, we're looking at the cost of new portables. How do you even get the old ones out to put them in the same place? How do you reconfigure? So it's all of these conversations. And I think this is more a conversation that should have happened before all this, and it just kind of happened to lay on top of the other. We need to understand what facilities we have. I mean, I've been asking for a while, what do we have? We have, Linwood's been redone. What's our space capacity? It's just good information. And I understand the frustration. I think it's just in some ways unintentional that it lays on top of one another. But it's by no means to say that a decision's already been made, but let's get all the information and be respectful and do the best that we can. Because for me, the top thing is a long-term solution that's safe and sustainable for our kids, for all kids.
Thank you, Trustee Gasson. Anybody, Trustee Jacobson?
Well, what did you have to say? Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay, well, first off, I wanted to say that when we were having this conversation last time, I thought, 3 years out would be, if there was even a possibility of them moving, would be when it would happen. So I appreciate that this is an abridged version because we want to make a decision quickly in the best interest of the charter school, but I think that's kind of getting muddled. I would actually like to propose that we just do a facilities plan right now, and when you come back in December, if it feels like those are the next steps, that's what's on this list, then great. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too. Versus having the perspective be charter school focused. That is my motion, yes.
Okay, so we do have a motion. I need a second before we move.
I second.
Okay. Yeah, so let's make sure we understand. Yeah, Magali's a second. Why don't you reiterate again, Trustee
So I
Jacobson?
move
just
that
so-
we,
Especially for Ellen purposes.
for Ellen, I move that we create a facilities master plan, a facilities utilization plan, and we use the first few steps on here, obviously approving an architect demographer and whatever other steps are needed to, this is more wordy than Ellen wants, obviously.
You just need to say the facilities.
Facilities utilization plan.
And just, that's it.
Period. As I said, that's where I
Yeah,
started.
And not the
I?
focus so much on, this is an overall facility utilization plan. Yeah. And we have a second by Trustee Lametta, okay. A discussion, yes?
So if I look at this document, right, steps 1 through, right, what is it, 13, 14? We're basically saying, let's do steps 1 through 4 for a full, to achieve a full facilities plan. Am I correct?
That's pretty close to what I think she said.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page. And then my question to John, right, what you have there is 6 months, right?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, is that what you were expecting to come up with in 6 months?
I was expecting to come up with in 6 months was the facility plan to get us to determine options for the charter school with the demographics continuing for site-wide.
To add on to it, right?
Yeah, so it almost, it branch off and almost be run, 2 separate courses.
So, yeah, I get what you're trying to do. You're basically taking, and I think I'm the one who suggested this last time, is to start the plan, get it to a point where you have everything.
Yep.
And then from there, you're ready to do the whole plan, but then follow through to everything else.
Exactly.
Got it. So what I'm getting at is trying to put a time on this. So,
9 months?
to do the full plan?
I would say 9 to 11 months.
I think 4 months is reasonable. Can I make an additional comment, may I?
Yeah, and I haven't
So-
called the vote yet.
You want-
I haven't
may
called the vote. Go
Yes,
ahead.
okay, right. So I'm supporting the motion, but item number 10, board action site selection. There's a board action, to Greg's earlier notion, we get reports back. There's a board action after step 4 that says, receive the plan, define next steps. Because, John, I appreciate putting this together in a very, very, very short time. So none of this is meant as criticism, it's just discussion. But that's, I think, what has to come back here. And the other thing that I think is relevant is 24 hours from now, we're going to know a great deal more about the constraints that we're facing, because you're going to sit down with Nikki and her team and have have you visited the site physically yet?
I visited the site, yes.
Oh, okay, so you've done that. Okay,
Need to do a lot more, but
well,
yes.
But we're learning pretty fast here around their issue, but we don't have an overall handle on the district's issue. And I think separating the two topics has some values. And it seems like we don't lose time by separating, because that you haven't blocked by time. Here's the study, Chuck, it's the first X months. Here's the site selection, it's the second month. So it seems like there's no penalty by breaking this in half, time penalty. There's just chances for us to have a discussion in a structured way and in a partnership way, which is the point that was made by the community tonight. So I'll support that motion. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to support a facility master utilization plan for the entire district, and that's it
Yeah,
for right now.
understanding how we might use it, but
Yeah.
not focused it on one
Not
particular
focus it on
case.
one, yes. Okay, all those in favor? 6-0, one absent.
So we got a timeline. Can you get us a
that
cost
definitely
estimate?
would, yeah, Exactly. That's next.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Wait, what were you gonna say?
we've got a timeline. We don't
Yeah.
have a cost estimate, which you
No.
couldn't provide tonight, but
No.
we'll get one pretty soon, I'm sure.
But I also want to go back, I think we have some work to do with the charter school more so in reviewing our agreements that we have with them, the MOU.
Yep.
We need to have our legal counsel look at those and just clarify that for us. We don't want to make a misstep there, and I thank Craig for pointing that out to us, appreciate that. So let's resolve that first before we do anything. And then keeping them obviously in the loop on all, keeping Nikki and Craig at the forefront
Absolutely.
of all the conversations.
And to be clear, so now we're fully parallel process. We're going to do this plan. Meantime, there's 1.3 million. Is that the number we
Yes,
approved?
1.32.
That was approved, and we need to get going on that ASAP
Yes.
Yep.
for occupancy this fall, and to assume that it needs to get the school through the next 3 years. Right? Because basically, we just added a year for the most part, to be
Or
safe,
beyond.
and/or whatever we decide to do beyond that.
Yeah.
Going to Trustee Jacobson's earlier comment, I don't know if we have to approve stuff that you'll bring forward for the roofing or the repairs or whatever, just keep us,
Correct. I know we've got a 27th meeting, and then I think there's a tentative.
Okay, so you're okay.
in July.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yep.
we're mindful of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the point earlier, when the San Ramon School was failing, we met whenever we needed to. The board would meet at the drop of a hat to get stuff approved. So we will, that point has already been made by our clerk, that we are at your service to facilitate this process.
It's noted. Thank you.
Thanks, John. That was little bit different, but I think it's a better solution for what's right, so.
Thank you.
All right, hang in there, everybody. We're moving on to 15B, approval of the supplemental special education day class curriculum adoption. This is for grades TK through 12. And you have additional documents at your board table related to that item. Should look like this. Okay, I really.
All right, good evening, trustees and Superintendent Dr. Derby. We are here this evening as a follow-up to our previous presentation. And if you've been upstairs in the last couple weeks, you'll see it looks like Christmas. The math curriculums that we approved in April are arriving, and every time I walk down the hallway, I put a little pep in my step because the teacher in my heart just gets so excited seeing all those manipulatives and all the new exciting materials that are going to go out into our classrooms, hopefully in the next weeks or so that teachers have them to explore over the summer and get their fingertips on it before we return in the fall. So this evening, we're here to follow up with our English language arts recommendation for approval, as well as an addition that includes our social studies and science curriculums for our secondary program. So what we did was, after the April meeting, we went back to the drawing board for ELA, and that morning we were in my office rolling our sleeves up. We brought up the CDE website and started looking at all of the curriculums that are posted that supported the science of reading, because that was one thing that we heard that was really important to the board that we made sure that we looked much more closely at. And we found a winner. We're so excited to share with you tonight that we are going to be proposing a recommendation for Benchmark Advance that Chris is going to be talking about. And it does also provide an alignment that goes all the way through early intervention through 12th grade. So we're going to be able to support with a spiral program that hopefully will mitigate any gaps that would potentially happen if we were shifting curriculums at each of the levels. So I'll let Chris share about that, and then Kevin will follow up and share with you the science and the history curriculums that we're proposing that we bring on to our platform and share with our staff and our students.
So in your packet, you have recommendations, and I wanted to highlight 3 of them. The first one I wanted to highlight is that it integrates core content, literature, science, and social studies. The benefit of this is that it builds more curriculum for our special day teachers, and it also has the ability to go up in grade level or go below grade level. So for example, if we get core curriculum at a 3rd grade level, online there's the ability to teach the 4th grade and the 2nd grade. And that is a big plus, and I have never seen that in curriculum before. So when you're teaching multi-grade levels, it's a real bonus. The other thing I wanted to point out is the multimodal and multisensory learning to support struggling readers and with such conditions such as dyslexia. This is also a unique way of teaching, and it's something that we're always looking for our special day students so that we can teach them in the best way that they learn. And the last thing I wanted to point out is the last bullet. It's an award-winning curriculum. You can see on the side with the pictures the different awards it has received, and it has won awards for text quality and complexity and alignment to standards as one, building knowledge with text, vocabulary, and tasks, and usability. So we feel very fortunate that we were able to find Benchmark Advance for all the reasons listed, but those 3 in particular.
Thanks for having us. I would like to talk a little bit about the world history, which is a National Geographic learning through Cengage. We were able to have teachers come in and take a look at the various curricula. But the thing that's really exciting for me is that it matches content rigor with the richness and accessibility for all students. Students reading or writing below grade level or on level have the equal access to the California standards, the California content. And then the third point that I really would like to make is the modified text feature in the digital student edition. It provides access to California content 2 levels below grade level. And of course, our students who are in special day classes do not read or write all the time at grade level. And then just in terms of teachers coming in and taking a look at the curriculum, I would really want to thank Rich Lenzo, who's here tonight, for his in-depth conversation with me about the world history and the other class, because it really looks at 2 different grade levels, like 9th graders and 10th graders, and then the variety of support that it could provide them. And then with the science, it's also National Geographic, and again with Cengage. Each unit utilizes the 3 dimensions of the California Next Generation Science Standards, disciplinary code ideas, cross-cutting concepts are supported in lessons which feature scientists from all backgrounds, which, we're talking about culture, gender, ability, and the various contributions that they provided. And I think that this speaks to all students. The other component that I really like about this is it's hands-on, and students in special education, special day classes don't often have the ability to go to labs like biology or chemistry or physics because they're in the special day class, and this can give them the connection that they need. And again, Rich was able to help us identify this, so thank you very much for your time and energy with that. And just the last thing that I wanted to say is that Chris was able to reach out to her special day class teachers, and a number of them came in and spent a lot of time looking at the curriculum. And I had maybe not as many, but maybe equal amount of time of research and looking into the curriculum. And so I really want to appreciate all the teachers who were able to do that, along with you guys for listening tonight. Thank you.
So that's the nutshell. And then Kevin spoke to a little bit about it. Is, you know, we did a compacted input opportunity for staff to come and view the materials and be able to provide their insights and their professional expertise on what grade level that they would like to target as the core anchor grade level, especially for benchmark, so that they can then also have those two bridges to the other grade levels for their students. So the quotes before you do reflect a progression that starts in early intervention all the way through high school that will serve our students. And so we are seeking your approval tonight to purchase these curriculums so that we can order them and get them here before the school year starts. Thank you.
I'll move to approve.
All right, so we have first by trustee Mack. Anybody, a second? By trustee Jacobson?
Can I comment?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask for comment, yeah.
Sorry. I know Trustee Pickus was disappointed to miss this topic. She did have to leave. Her and I discussed it, and we both wanted to share that we really appreciate your dedication to finding resources that were aligned with the science of reading and that really will help us long term and be in line with what we hope will be where our district goes in general. And I know that it was probably jarring that we were like, no, and we're sorry, but we really appreciate that you guys took the time and energy and, you know, received that information gracefully and came back with something great, and we just thank you so much.
Trustee McCaslin.
So I'll echo that. I mean, I appreciate every time I see you guys and the information and the work that you guys do. I think the only thing I was going to ask before, I mean, I want to approve it, but there was a question about professional development. And so I didn't know if you want to just speak briefly to that for the teachers, that it is available and that they, you know, can have that. It came up during our meeting.
It is, and you'll see that it's built into the quotes, and so we will, with the plan, we will work with Tracy Smith, our new superintendent, coming in on a plan so that we can find some workarounds with what limitations the contract has for professional development, but we've already been brainstorming some solutions of how to create opportunities for staff to provide that professional development that they're going to need for all three of the curriculums that we're bringing on for them. So,
thank you so much.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I have a first by trustee Mack, a second by trustee Jacobson. All those in favor? 6-0, 1 absent. Thank you to the three of you. Thank you. Okay, second to last item, 15C. Approval award of contract. No, Mr. Saisi, sit down. He really wants to go home.
John's like, you go.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I like, a go-getter. That's good.
It's a yes.
Oh.
So, do you want to make a presentation first, or you want to just take questions?
How do we do that? Let's see here. I'll take questions. All right. Okay, so tonight we're looking for to award the district office HVAC controls project to Bel Air Mechanical. We did receive 3 bids. Bel Air was the low bid and is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Okay.
So you
go
want a
ahead.
little bit. Okay, as far as this project goes, there's been some issues with the airflow throughout the building, where you're getting different airflows from one room to the other, and so this project addresses that by changing out some pumps, putting in a new control system, and then doing some piping reconfiguration at the mechanical room.
I think, okay, so may I ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we put a new air conditioning unit over here outside in the parking lot a couple of years back, and I thought the district office is in great shape. So here we are spending another $350,000, And you basically said the interior balances were off and you needed to replace air, I assume when you say pumps, you mean air movers, air.
Yeah, there's some hydronic pumps that need to be replaced, and then some of the piping needs to be reconfigured to
so-
maximize flow.
Right, okay, so you went through and analyzed this, and is this gonna be the last time we're gonna rebuild the district office air conditioning system? I
Once
mean,
it breaks, we don't
I'm a
fix
little
it again.
frustrated because we
Yeah.
spent a chunk of money, and I just don't like having to redo stuff when we haven't, we're nowhere near the end of the useful life of the compressors or the condensers. So I don't know what else to say except approval, but it's frustrating. Do you know how we got here?
No, I don't have the history on this.
Yeah.
I do know that there was a project, but I'm not exactly sure of what that project entailed. So I don't know if it was a full replacement. Sounds like there are some items that do need to be replaced to maximize that flow, though.
Okay, so I'm going to tag on to this item, one additional thing. Dr. Derby mentioned in the middle of our meeting that she got some information on the air conditioning status for Loma Verde, and apparently there was some misinformation presented by somebody from the audience. Could you clarify what?
I don't think it was misinformation. I think he was assuming that there was air conditioning. There should be air conditioning in the kitchen and the cafeteria, but none of our cafeterias are air conditioned, and that Melissa was sharing that. And multi-use rooms, yeah. And so I think the important thing here is we've got an airflow issue in that kitchen, but it was fans and we need exterior outside air coming in. But I think the most important thing is to just change that kitchen out to an electric stove that Cody wanted to do in the first place, and then we wouldn't have all the issues that we're having.
You don't have combustion gases in the kitchen
You
because
don't,
it's an
yes.
electric stove, not a
Electric
gas stove.
And that was his recommendation months ago.
And we just didn't do it for some reason. We're now
Well, I
going to
think
do
they
it.
were
You think?
trying to repair what we had,
Yeah.
and then the fan.
Is that what you think we're going to do going forward down there? You
That's
think?
what I'm going to talk to somebody about tomorrow.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I just got bits and pieces. So I'll move approval of this district office. One more point before I move approval. I noticed this is being funded through the deferred maintenance fund, not through the bond. So the bonds monies are going to the school sites, and this is deferred maintenance going to the district office.
Very
So to
important
be
point.
clear, this is not bond money being spent in this building. So with that, I'll move approval of this item.
Okay, first by trustee Mallorik, a second by trustee Lametta. Anybody questions or anything? Okay, all those, yeah, trustee Jacobson?
I just want to make sure that the community understands that this is happening not because it's too hot in this building, but because it's too cold.
It's freezing right now.
The air runs all the time, and it's a waste of money and resources. And the first time I came in this building was probably 2017 to complain about no air conditioning at Lou Sutton. And I was so enraged that it was freezing cold in this building, and it's been that way ever since. So this is actually long-term responsible spending, not frivolous spending. Thank you.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in
And-
favor?
I'm just going to say one last thing. Rhetorical question, just to make sure. All of our campuses are going to be air conditioned
Yes.
by this fall.
I have 4 projects going next year for air conditioning.
Okay, okay.
So, Lou Sutton, Novato High, Marin Oaks.
Complete by
It's,
September?
Who's the other one?
I think it's Pleasant Valley, San Ramon. There's some San Marin, and I'm forgetting one.
Hill.
Oh, yeah, Marin Oaks. I said Marin Oaks.
Hill's happening this summer.
This summer.
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's Hamilton.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor? 6-0, 1%.
Can we get-
Hey, Mike, you want to come?
Well, last item.
Try it, go ahead, we'll throw you out, that's right. Right. John, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
for
John.
coming
Thank
down.
you.
All right, good evening, trustees and Dr. Derby. I am bringing a board policy update to you. It's Board Policy 5116, having to do with school attendance boundaries. The superintendent and staff recommend approval of an update to this board policy in the 5000 series as a first reading to be brought back as a second reading at a future meeting. The superintendent and the staff recommend procuring the services of legal counsel and a demographer to study the Linwood Elementary School neighborhood boundary to establish a first-choice transfer elementary school for families who reside in the Linwood area who do not wish for their student to participate in the dual immersion program. So I want to be clear, this would not be changing the boundaries for the school. It would just be putting in subset boundaries for those families who want to opt out of the DI program. These boundaries within the Linwood area would determine what their school would be if a family chose to opt out of attending Linwood. In addition, a family could still decide to put in for an intra-district transfer if they wanted their child to attend a different school than the one that they would be going to if they chose not to go to Linwood.
I'll move to approve, and I just want to say thank you. This is probably something we should have sorted out when we put the DI program into place, but hey, we're learning, and we're getting better.
Well, I think that at the time, we were just trying to get something on.
Oh, of
on
course,
the
of
books,
course,
you know,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
of
and
course. It's just that
we could have gone revisited it much sooner, but
Yeah.
okay, Magali. Yes, first reading. Yes. So it's Well, no, you made a motion for the first reading and to carry it into. We always say consent for the consent. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So first by Trustee Mack and a second by Trustee Jacobson. All those in favor? 6-0. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. We're a little less than an hour behind, but it's the way things go.
There was a lot to get done.
A lot to get done. Good job, everybody.
Good job.
All right, this meeting is adjourned, and our next regular board meeting is the 13th, the 13th of June. Yeah, and then the 27th after that, and then we'll have a little bit of time off, maybe. Yeah, the 13th and then the 27th. This meeting's adjourned.